Hogwarts Castle after midnight. The moving staircase was doing its usual tricks. It slid, turned, and clicked into place like it had a mind of its own. Harry had learned to stop arguing with it. Tonight, he just wanted to get back to the Gryffindor common room without running into anyone who wanted to talk about Voldemort, the Ministry, or what it felt like to nearly die again. Ron walked beside him, half awake, rubbing his eyes. Hermione was a few steps ahead, whispering a reminder that they had double transfiguration in the morning, as if saying it out loud could force the world to behave. Then the air changed. It was not a gust. It was not a chill. It felt like the castle paused for 1 second, like someone had pressed a finger against the world and told it to wait. A door appeared. It was not an old Hogwarts door with iron hinges and a carved handle. It was new. Smooth, dark wood, polished like it belonged in a rich house. No frame, no wall cut. It simply existed, standing, straight in the middle of the corridor, blocking the path like it had always been there. Ron stopped so fast he nearly tripped. Hermione's wand snapped into her hand without thinking. Harry felt the hairs on his arms rise. His scar did not burn. This wasn't Voldemort. This was something else. Something that made the corridor feel too small. The door opened on its own. Not slowly. Not with a creak. It opened like it was obeying a silent order. A man stepped out. He wore a black suit that looked too clean for Hogwarts. No dust, no damp. His shoes did not squeak on the stone. He looked around like he was checking a place he had been invited to, and he was deciding if it met his standards. He had dark hair, sharp eyes, a calm face. He smiled, and it was not a friendly school smile. It was the kind of smile that said, "I see more than you think I see." Peeves chose that moment to swoop down from above, cackling. He threw a stack of books into the air and shouted, "Students out of bed, rules to break, wands to snap." The books flew straight toward Hermione's face. Hermione tried to block them, but her spell came out rushed. The books spun harder. The man lifted one hand, not even fully, like he was waving at an annoying fly. The books froze in midair. They did not wobble. They did not shake. They hung there like someone had nailed them to the air. Peeves's laugh died in his throat. The man looked up at the poltergeist with mild interest. "You," he said, like he was naming a stray cat. Peeves made a squeaky sound and shot backward, vanishing behind a statue. The books drifted down gently and landed in a neat stack on the floor. Not a page was bent. Ron stared. "Blimey!" Hermione's mouth opened, then closed. She looked like she wanted to ask 100 questions and scream at the same time. Harry could not stop staring at the man's eyes. There was something in them that did not feel like magic. It felt older, like the sky. Footsteps snapped across the corridor. Fast, firm. Professor McGonagall turned the corner with her wand raised and her face hard. Behind her was Snape, moving like a shadow, wand already pointed. McGonagall took in the door. The man, the floating calm that still hung in the air. "You," she said sharply. "State your name and your business in this castle." The man's smile grew slightly. "Business," repeated, like it was a fun word. Snape's eyes narrowed into thin lines. He did not speak. He just watched, like he was trying to find the place where a knife would go. The man tilted his head a little. "This is a school," he said. It did not sound like a question, but it did sound like he was amused. "Interesting." McGonagall's wand did not lower. "Name." The man looked at her wand, then back at her face. He did not look impressed. He did not look scared. He looked patient. "Lucifer," he said. Hermione flinched, just a tiny bit. Harry noticed. Ron did not. Ron was still staring like his brain had stopped. McGonagall held his gaze. "Lucifer what?" Lucifer's eyes flicked to the students behind her. Harry felt it like a spotlight on his skin. It wasn't pain, it was attention. "Just Lucifer," Lucifer said. Snape finally spoke, voice soft and cold. "That is not an answer." Lucifer's smile did not change. "It is a complete answer. You just don't like it." A soft sound filled the corridor, like a sigh made of fire. Dumbledore arrived. He did not rush. He did not look surprised. He looked like a man who had been waiting for a guest he did not expect, but would still greet properly. His blue eyes met Lucifer's. For a moment, the corridor felt like it belonged to the two of them. "Welcome," Dumbledore said gently, "to Hogwarts." Lucifer's smile became real for half a second. "Ah," he said, "so that's the name." Then the castle itself reacted. Somewhere deep in the stone, locks slammed. Doors along the corridor clicked shut, windows sealed with a shimmer that looked like clear ice. The moving staircases groaned as they shifted into new positions, like a giant trying to block off hallways with its own bones. But the new door stayed open. It stood there, dark and perfect, like it had permission no one else could take away. Harry swallowed. The castle was trying to lock itself down, and it could not decide what to do with the man who had just walked in. Dumbledore's office felt warmer than the corridor, but the warmth did not ease the tension. The portraits whispered to each other. Fawkes the Phoenix watched from his perch, head tilted like he was listening to a song only he could hear. Lucifer stood near the desk as if it belonged to him. He did not touch anything. He did not need to. He looked around with slow interest, eyes taking in every detail. The silver instruments on the shelves quivered, then steadied, as if they were nervous. Dumbledore sat behind his desk, with both hands resting calmly on the wood. McGonagall stood to one side, straight as a spear. Snape stood to the other side, still as a blade. Harry, Ron, and Hermione had been told to wait outside. But Harry had seen Dumbledore's look. It had not been anger. It had been caution. Harry did not leave. He stayed close enough that he could hear through the door, pressed in the shadow of a suit of armor. Ron wanted to drag him away. Hermione wanted to pretend she did not, but she stayed too. Inside, Dumbledore spoke first. "You appeared quite suddenly," he said, "in a place with strong protections." Lucifer's eyes moved to the window, to the night sky beyond. "Protections," he repeated, tasting the word. "You mean walls you hope will stop the world from reaching you?" McGonagall's jaw tightened. "This is a school. It is meant to be safe." Lucifer looked at her, and his face softened just a little. "A noble goal," he said. "Rarely achieved." Dumbledore did not bite at the tone. "May I ask where you came from?" Lucifer's smile returned. "You may." "And will you answer?" Dumbledore asked. "I might," Lucifer said. "If you ask well." Snape's eyes flicked toward Dumbledore, then back to Lucifer. "He is playing with you." Lucifer looked at Snape like he had been waiting for him. "No," Lucifer said. "I'm playing with myself. You're simply in the room." Snape's mouth tightened. "You are not welcome here." Lucifer's gaze stayed on Snape. "Then why did the door open?" he asked softly. For a moment, nobody spoke. Dumbledore lifted his wand, not as a threat, but as a tool. "This will not harm you," he said. "It will only tell us what kind of magic you carry." Lucifer's eyes went to the wand. "Magic," he said, almost kindly. "Such a small word for what you think it is." Dumbledore flicked the wand in a controlled motion. Silver light swept over Lucifer like a net. The silver instruments on the shelves screamed. Not with sound, with movement. They spun, rattled, and sparked. One fell off a shelf and shattered. Fawkes let out a low cry. McGonagall stepped forward, startled, wand up again. Dumbledore lowered his wand slowly. His face was calm, but his eyes had sharpened. "That is unusual," he said. Lucifer looked almost bored. "Your toys are honest," he said. "They're simply overwhelmed." Snape's voice was even colder. "You are not human." Lucifer shrugged. "No." Dumbledore leaned back slightly. "Are you a spirit?" he asked. "A demon? A god?" Lucifer's eyes flashed with amusement at the word demon. He did not deny it. He did not confirm it either. "I am myself," Lucifer said. "That is all you truly need. It is also what you will struggle to accept." Snape's wand rose a fraction. "Legilimency," he said, like a knife being named before it cut. Dumbledore's voice sharpened for the first time. "Severus." Snape did it anyway. His eyes locked. On Lucifer's. Harry felt something press against the door, like invisible weight. He held his breath. Inside, Snape's face flickered. Not fear. Not exactly. More like shock mixed with pain. Snape staggered one step back. Lucifer did not move. He did not blink. He did not raise a hand. "You should not do that," Lucifer said gently and flatly, like a teacher correcting a child. Snape's breathing was controlled, but his skin had gone pale. "What are you?" he hissed. Lucifer's smile was gone now. "You reached into a place that does not belong to you," Lucifer said, "and you found out you are very small." McGonagall looked ready to attack. Dumbledore's eyes hardened, not at Lucifer, but at Snape. "You risked more than yourself," Dumbledore said quietly. Snape's jaw worked. He said nothing, but Harry saw it clearly through the crack of the door. Snape's hand trembled once, then steadied. Dumbledore took a breath and changed the shape of the room with his voice. "Let us start again," he said. "You have entered our home. There are children here. If you mean them harm." Lucifer held up one finger. Not a threat. A pause. "I do not harm children," Lucifer said. His tone was honest. Harry felt it in his stomach like a weight dropping. "I dislike bullies. I dislike cages. I dislike lies." Dumbledore studied him. "Then why are you here?" Lucifer looked toward the window again. "Because a door opened," he said, "and because something here called to something in me. That is my honest answer." McGonagall narrowed her eyes. "What does that mean?" Lucifer's gaze flicked to the portraits. "Your castle is awake," he said. "It watches you. It chooses. It is trying to decide if it should reject me or keep me. That's adorable." Dumbledore's face stayed calm, but his mind was clearly working fast. "You speak as if you can hear Hogwarts," he said. Lucifer's smile returned, thin and sharp. "I can hear many things," he said. Dumbledore folded his hands. "Tell me your story," he said simply. "Not every detail, just the truth you are willing to give." Lucifer considered, like he was choosing how much to spend. Then he gave it in clean pieces, like coins placed on a table. "I was not born here," Lucifer said. "I ruled a place that people fear. I left it because I was tired of being blamed for other people's choices. I do not enjoy being controlled. And now, I am here, because your world has a door it should not have." McGonagall's eyes flashed. "A place people fear," she repeated. "That sounds like—" "A label," Lucifer said, cutting her off. "Yes, humans love labels. They can't stand the idea that they might be responsible for themselves." Snape recovered enough to sneer. "You speak like a philosopher. That does not make you harmless." Lucifer's eyes turned to Snape again. "I never said I was harmless," Lucifer said. "I said I do not harm children." Dumbledore held the tension without letting it break the room. "If you stay," he said, "you will follow certain rules." Lucifer's eyebrows lifted. "Rules," he echoed again, amused. Yes, Dumbledore said. No bargains with students. No private meetings without staff aware. You do not leave these grounds without my knowledge. You do not interfere with the war beyond this school unless there is immediate danger to the children. Lucifer stared at him for a long second. Then he laughed softly. McGonagall stiffened. Snape's eyes sharpened again, like he expected violence. But Lucifer's laugh wasn't cruel. It was interested. You are trying to build a cage that you know will not hold, Lucifer said. That takes courage, or foolishness. Dumbledore's voice stayed even. It takes duty. Lucifer's smile faded to something thoughtful. Duty, he said. Another cage. Sometimes a pretty one. Dumbledore did not flinch. Will you agree? Lucifer looked from Dumbledore to McGonagall to Snape. Then he turned his face slightly, as if listening to something only he could hear. The portraits had gone quiet. Even the instruments had stopped shaking. For a moment, Hogwarts felt like it was waiting with them. Lucifer nodded once. Fine, he said. I will play by your rules, for now. Snape's voice was sharp. Why? Lucifer's eyes slid to the door. For the first time, Harry felt like Lucifer knew he was there. Not with magic, with simple certainty. Because I'm curious, Lucifer said, and because you are all terrified. That means something matters here. McGonagall's eyes flicked to the door, then back. If you break your word, Lucifer smiled. If I break my word, he said, you'll point your little sticks at me again, and we will repeat this charming conversation. Dumbledore stood. Then let us begin with something simple, he said. Where will you stay? Lucifer looked around the office, then toward the window, then toward the ceiling as if he could see through floors and stone. Somewhere quiet, he said. Somewhere with music, if you have it. Dumbledore's eyes softened a little. We have a music room, he said, and we have quiet places, though they rarely stay quiet for long. Lucifer nodded. Excellent. Outside, Harry leaned back from the door, heart pounding. Ron let out a shaky breath. Hermione's eyes were wide, but her mind was already racing. Lucifer, Hermione whispered. That's a name. Ron frowned. A name's a name. Hermione swallowed. Not that one. Harry's scar still did not burn, but his instincts were screaming anyway. This was not Voldemort. This was not a wizard. This was something that did not fit into Hogwarts at all. And Dumbledore had just let him stay. The next day, Hogwarts tried to handle Lucifer the way it handled everything else, with rumors, rules, and the hope that if you ignore a problem long enough, it might become normal. It did not. By breakfast, half the school had already decided he was a rich ministry inspector. The other half thought he was a dark wizard. A few first years cried when they saw him walk past the great hall doors. Lucifer did not seem bothered. He moved through the castle like a man taking a tour. He looked at the ceiling enchanted sky with mild approval. He paused by a suit of armor and tapped its helmet once, like he was checking if it was real. Harry watched from the Gryffindor table, trying not to stare. It did not work. Lucifer's presence pulled eyes the way a loud sound pulls ears. Ron leaned close. I hate how calm he is, Ron muttered. It's like he's about to tell us we've got homework forever. Hermione did not laugh. She was watching Lucifer's hands. No wand, no pockets full of tools. Nothing. Yet the air around him felt like it had rules of its own. Snape entered the Great Hall and took his seat at the Slytherin table. His gaze did not leave Lucifer for long. It was not just suspicion. It was planning. Dumbledore sat at the staff table with his usual gentle face, but Harry could tell he was watching too. Watching the way a man watches a dragon, he has agreed not to anger. Lucifer reached the staff table, then stopped. He did not sit. He looked at the chairs as if they were a joke. "A seat?" he asked Dumbledore. Dumbledore gestured to one with calm hospitality. "If you like." Lucifer sat. The chair did not creak. It did not dare. Students whispered harder. Hermione's hand was already scribbling in a small notebook. "This doesn't make sense," she murmured. "The castle wards should have—" She froze mid-sentence. The air near the staff table shimmered. Not light. Not a spell. The moving staircase outside the great hall shifted with a groan that Harry could feel in his bones, as if the castle itself was repositioning things. Lucifer's eyes flicked toward the direction of the stairs, then back to the food, then to Dumbledore. "Your home is trying to keep me away from certain places," Lucifer said calmly. Dumbledore did not pretend surprise. "Hogwarts has preferences," he said. Lucifer smiled. "Don't we all?" McGonagall's eyes narrowed. "Do not provoke the castle." Lucifer's smile widened just enough to be annoying. "I'm not provoking," he said. "I'm observing." At the Gryffindor table, Ron whispered, "I swear he sounds like Percy if Percy was scarier." Harry tried to swallow his toast, but his throat felt too tight. Hermione leaned closer to Harry. "I'm going to the library," she whispered. "That name, Harry. I think it matters." Harry nodded. He did not like the way she said it. Hermione moved through the library like she was on a mission. Madame Pince watched her with sharp eyes, but Hermione did not care. She grabbed books about ancient names, demonology and wizarding texts, myths, muggle religions, anything she could find without setting off alarms. Some books had pages that tried to bite her. Some books tried to close themselves. Hermione forced them open anyway. She found references to devils in old wizard stories. Not real ones. Mostly warnings meant to scare children into obedience. She found tales of tricksters who offered deals. She found old Latin words that sounded like they wanted to be spoken carefully. Then she found one muggle reference in a thin, dusty book that Hogwarts had probably only because a muggle-born once demanded it. Lucifer. Lightbringer. Morningstar. Hermione's stomach tightened. She looked up at the tall shelves, and for a second, the library felt smaller, like the castle had moved in closer around her. She shut the book slowly. Lucifer had said he ruled a place people fear. He had said he hated being blamed for human choices. Hermione rubbed her forehead. "This can't be real," she whispered. And yet, the instruments in Dumbledore's office had screamed. Snape did not go to the library. Snape went to his dungeon. He stood in front of his private shelves and pulled out bottles he rarely touched. Not because he needed potions, because he needed options. He made a list in his head, cold and exact. No wand signature, no human aura, no mind that could be entered, no fear, no anger, no obvious goal beyond curiosity. The worst kind. He brewed quietly while his thoughts sharpened. If he can stop legilimency without effort, he can kill us without moving, Snape thought. If he does not kill us, it is because he chooses not to. Snape hated being at someone's mercy. He hated it enough that he began building a plan anyway, even if the plan was only meant to buy seconds. He brewed a potion that could sharpen mental defenses. He prepared a vial that could numb the body if inhaled. He wrote notes about ward patterns, old spells, and places in the castle where magic behaved oddly. Then, almost against his will, Snape remembered Lucifer's voice. "You reached into a place that does not belong to you." Snape's jaw tightened. He had spent his life reaching into places that did not belong to him. Secrets. Minds. Lies. He did not like being told no. He liked it even less when no came from someone who might be right. Harry tried to pretend the day was normal. He went to class. He answered questions. He tried not to glance at every doorway like it might produce a second, impossible door. It did not help. By afternoon, whispers followed him down hallways. "Dumbledore's pet," one Ravenclaw muttered. "Voldemort sent him," a Hufflepuff whispered, eyes wide. Harry pushed through it, jaw clenched. He was tired. He was always tired. After defense against the dark arts, he caught a movement near the corridor by the music room. Lucifer stood there, alone, looking at a locked door. Harry stopped before he could tell himself not to. Lucifer turned his head, and it was like he had been waiting. "Harry Potter," Lucifer said. Harry stiffened. "How do you know my name?" Lucifer's eyes were calm. "Your friends say it loudly," he said. "Your enemies say it softly. The walls say it when you walk by." Harry swallowed. "What do you want?" Lucifer looked back at the locked door. "Music," he said simply. Harry blinked. "That's it?" Lucifer's mouth twitched. "You expected a curse?" he asked, amused. "A secret plan? I suppose I could offer you one of those if you'd like." Harry's grip tightened on his bag strap. "I don't want anything from you." Lucifer's eyes stayed on him. "A wise instinct," Lucifer said. "Most people do want things. They want them so badly they stop noticing the price." Harry's skin prickled. "Are you here because of Voldemort?" Lucifer's face did not change at the name. That alone was strange. Everyone reacted to Voldemort's name. Even brave people had a flicker in their eyes. Lucifer did not. Lucifer's gaze slid away for a moment, like he was listening to a far-off sound. "Your Dark Lord is loud," Lucifer said. "He shouts in the shape of the world. But no, I did not follow him. I arrived because something opened. Something called." Harry frowned. "Called what?" Lucifer looked back at him. "Choice," Lucifer said. Harry stared. "What does that even mean?" Lucifer's smile was small now, almost sad. "It means you live in a world that tells children who they are," Lucifer said. "And it calls that destiny, so it sounds pretty." Harry's throat went tight. He did not like how accurate that felt. Lucifer leaned closer, not invading, just enough that Harry could smell clean soap and something like smoke from a distant fire. "Do you know what I do best, Harry Potter?" Lucifer asked softly. Harry did not answer. "I tell the truth," Lucifer said. "Even when people hate it." Harry took a step back. Lucifer straightened. "Don't worry," he said, casual again. "I won't force it on you. That would be rude." Harry forced himself to speak. "You said no bargains with students," he said. Lucifer's eyes flicked with amusement. "Ah," he said. "You heard the rules." Harry held his gaze. "Are you going to follow them?" Lucifer smiled. "Of course," he said, "unless I choose not to." Harry's heart thumped hard. Then Lucifer added, almost lightly, "But I do enjoy fair deals." Harry's eyes narrowed. "What deal?" Lucifer tapped his own chest once. "If you ever ask me a question," Lucifer said, "I will answer honestly. In return, you must do something simple." Harry's stomach dropped. "No." Lucifer held up both hands. "You haven't heard it yet," he said. Harry's voice came out rough. "I said no." Lucifer's eyes softened in a way that felt dangerous because it looked like kindness. "Good," Lucifer said. "That was a choice." He turned back to the locked door and touched it with one finger. The lock clicked open, as if it had always been willing and had only been waiting for permission. Harry's eyes widened. "You can just—" "I can," Lucifer said. He pushed the door open. Inside, a dusty piano sat in the corner. Lucifer walked in like he had found a friend. Harry stayed in the doorway, frozen. Lucifer sat at the bench, placed his hands on the keys, and played one slow line of music. Not fancy. Not loud. Just clear. The sound filled the room. It was simple. It made Harry's chest feel strange, like he had been holding his breath for years and had just let it out. Lucifer did not look at him. "You should go," Lucifer said softly. Harry did not move. Lucifer added, "Before someone decides your being here means something it doesn't." Harry backed away, heart racing, and left. In the hallway, he ran straight into Hermione. She looked up, eyes wide, clutching books. "Harry," she hissed, "we need to talk. Now." That night, an owl arrived for Dumbledore with a seal that looked official and heavy. Fudge's words were polite on the surface and panicked underneath. There was a dangerous unknown entity at Hogwarts. The Ministry demanded details. The Ministry demanded control. The Ministry demanded that Dumbledore stop making the school look like a fortress. Dumbledore read the letter slowly, then folded it neatly and set it aside. Lucifer sat across from him, calm as ever, sipping tea like it was a joke. "You've made friends," Lucifer said. Dumbledore's smile was gentle but tired. "Not quite," he said. Lucifer tilted his head. "They fear what they can't file into a drawer," he said. Dumbledore met his eyes. "And what do you fear?" he asked quietly. Lucifer's smile faded. "Boredom," he said. "And cages." Dumbledore nodded once. "Then you understand," he said. "Because this war is a cage for children." Lucifer's eyes flicked, sharp. "Is that what you tell yourself?" Lucifer asked. "That it is for them?" Dumbledore did not look away. "It is," he said, "and that is why you must be careful here." Lucifer's smile returned, thin as a blade. "Careful," he echoed. "Yes," Dumbledore said, voice firm now. "No deals with students, no manipulation, no testing them." Lucifer leaned back. "You assume I would break them?" he said. Dumbledore's eyes stayed steady. "I assume you can," he said, "and I assume you might, if you think it teaches a lesson." Lucifer was quiet for a moment. Then he laughed softly. "You are very good," Lucifer said. "You see the danger, and you still invite the guest in." Dumbledore's gaze did not soften. "Because sometimes," he said, "a guest arrives whether we invite him or not." Lucifer's eyes gleamed. "True," he said, "and the door is still open." In the castle, corridors far below, the strange door stood in the same place it had appeared. Students avoided it like it might bite, but the door did not move. It waited. The cold came back 2 nights later. Harry felt it in his bones before he saw anything. It seeped under doors. It crawled through cracks in the stone. It turned the air sharp. He bolted upright in bed, breath fogging. Ron groaned. "What?" Harry's ears filled with a distant sound like wind over empty ground. He knew that sound. Dementors. Harry shoved his feet into his shoes and grabbed his wand. Hermione was already awake, eyes wide. She looked like she had been expecting this. That scared Harry more than the cold. They ran into the corridor. Students were already stumbling out of dorm rooms. Some were crying. Some were pale and silent. The cold made even torches look weak. Harry forced himself forward, toward the stairs. The moving staircase did not move. It was stuck in place like the castle was trying to freeze itself. At the landing, Professor McGonagall stood with her wand raised, shouting orders. "Back to your common rooms, now." A scream echoed from below. Harry shoved forward anyway. He ran down the stairs with Ron and Hermione close behind, heart punching hard. Then he saw them. Shapes in black, floating low above the ground, gliding like they owned the air. Their hoods hid their faces. The cold around them felt thick. But these Dementors were not like the ones Harry had seen before. There were more. Too many. And they moved differently. They did not drift like slow hunters. They moved like a wave. They poured through the corridors like a storm had found a doorway into the castle. Harry's hands shook. His breath came fast. Memories hit him hard, like fists. His mother screaming, his father yelling. A high laugh in the dark. Harry lifted his wand anyway. "Expecto Patronum," he shouted. A thin silver mist came out, struggling in the freezing air. The Dementors didn't even slow. Ron shouted the spell too. Nothing but mist. Hermione's voice trembled, but she cast as well. Her Patronus flickered, a weak shape that couldn't hold. The wave of cold pressed closer. A student near the wall slid down, eyes rolling back, like their mind had shut off. Harry's chest tightened. The Dementors were going to kiss someone. He could feel it. He could feel the panic building like a trap. Then something else entered the corridor. Not warmth, not fire. A stillness. Like the world had remembered it could say no. Lucifer walked into the hall from a side passage as if he had been strolling through a garden. He wore the same neat suit. No coat. No wand. No hurry. He looked at the Dementors the way a man looks at pests in his kitchen. "Oh," Lucifer said, calm. "So you came too." McGonagall's voice snapped. "Lucifer, get back." Lucifer didn't look at her. He raised one hand, palm open toward the wave of black. The Dementors paused. Not because they were afraid, because they were confused. Harry felt it like a shift in the air. The Dementors did not understand a thing that didn't fear them. Lucifer spoke in a quiet voice that still carried through the corridor. "You feed on despair," he said. "On empty places inside humans. That's your nature." The Dementors drifted forward again, slow at first, then faster, like hunger winning. Lucifer sighed, almost annoyed. "Fine," he said. "Let's speak in a language you understand." He snapped his fingers. There was no flash, no explosion, no bright spell. The air simply changed. The cold stopped spreading. It didn't melt. It didn't fight. It stopped like a leash had been pulled tight. The Dementors shuddered, as if something had grabbed them by the spine. Harry stared. His mind couldn't find the right place to put what he was seeing. Lucifer walked forward, stepping under the floating shapes. He looked up into the hood of the closest Dementor. "Leave," he said. The Dementor opened its hood. Harry expected a mouth. There was a mouth, but it was wider than it should be, like a hole that never learned where to end. It leaned down toward Lucifer like it would try to kiss him. Ron made a choking sound. Hermione grabbed Harry's sleeve. The Dementor's mouth got close. Then it stopped. Lucifer didn't flinch. He didn't pull away. He just stared into the hunger. Harry felt the Dementor's cold rage press outward, like it was pushing against an invisible wall. Lucifer's eyes narrowed slightly. "No," he said, soft and sharp. The Dementor's hood snapped back like it had been slapped. It drifted backward, shaky. The wave behind it slowed. For the first time, Harry saw something like fear in the way they moved. Not fear of a Patronus. Fear of a presence that could deny them. From the far end of the corridor, Dumbledore arrived. His wand was already out, and a brilliant silver phoenix burst from it, wings wide, filling the hall with light. The Phoenix Patronus swept through the black shapes, forcing them back. But even Dumbledore's Patronus looked like it was pushing a boulder uphill tonight. There were too many Dementors, and they kept coming. Harry's heart dropped as he saw a smaller figure on the floor, Colin Creevey, barely breathing, eyes half open, like he was trapped in a nightmare. A Dementor dipped toward him. Harry screamed, "No!" He ran forward, wand up, trying again. "Expecto Patronum," his Patronus sputtered. The Dementor lowered its hood. Lucifer moved. He did not sprint. He did not fly. He simply appeared between Colin and the Dementor. 1 second, he was 3 steps away. The next second, he was there. He held out a hand, palm facing the Dementor's hood, like he was stopping a door from closing. The Dementor tried to push through. It couldn't. Lucifer looked down at Colin, then back at the Dementor. "Children," he said, voice colder now. "No." The Dementor shook as if something inside it was tearing. Lucifer's fingers closed slowly, like he was grabbing a handful of smoke. The Dementor shrank, not into nothing, into something smaller, tighter, like a knot being tied. Lucifer turned his wrist and flicked his hand toward the ceiling. The knotted darkness shot upward and vanished, like it had been thrown through an invisible hole. Harry's mouth hung open. Dumbledore's eyes narrowed, watching carefully. McGonagall stared like she had forgotten how to speak. Snape stood behind Dumbledore, face like stone, but his eyes were sharp and hard. He looked at Lucifer the way he looked at a curse he didn't know how to block. More Dementors surged forward. Lucifer sighed again. "This is becoming tedious," he said. He looked down the corridor at the wave of black. Then he looked at Dumbledore. For a moment, it felt like Lucifer was asking permission. Dumbledore's voice was tight. "Do what you must," he said. Lucifer nodded once. Then he raised both hands. The air in the corridor folded. Harry didn't have a better word for it. It was like the space itself bent, smooth and careful, as if someone had taken the hall and wrapped it in a new layer of rules. The Dementors hit that new air and stopped all at once. Their robes fluttered, but they couldn't move forward. They pressed, like insects hitting glass. Lucifer walked along the line of trapped Dementors, calm as ever, and spoke as if he was giving directions. "Back," Lucifer said. "Back to your prison. Back to your island. Back to wherever you crawled from." The Dementors trembled. One by one, they began to slide backward, pulled by something they could not fight. But as they retreated, a new sound rose through the castle. A low hum. Not cold, not magic, like spells. Something deeper. Hermione grabbed Harry's arm and whispered, "Harry, do you feel that?" Harry nodded. His stomach churned. It felt like the castle was groaning under pressure. The Dementors were not just invading. Something was forcing them here. Lucifer paused. His head tilted, listening again. His eyes flicked toward the nearest window, toward the grounds outside. "The door," Lucifer murmured. Dumbledore's face tightened. "What door?" he asked. Lucifer's gaze stayed distant. "The one that brought me," he said. "It isn't just open. It's hungry." A shout came from outside the castle walls, then another, then the sound of something striking stone. Dumbledore turned sharply. "Minerva, secure the students," he said fast. "Severus!" Snape was already moving. Harry ran to the nearest window and looked out. On the grounds, near the edge of the lake, the strange door stood in the night, like a dark cut in the world. And around it, Dementors were gathering, not drifting, swarming. Above the door, the air shimmered, as if the sky itself had a thin tear in it. Lucifer appeared at Harry's side so suddenly, Harry nearly jumped out of his skin. Lucifer looked out the window and his smile vanished. "That," Lucifer said quietly, "is not supposed to be possible here." Dumbledore stepped beside them, eyes sharp. "Can you close it?" he asked. Lucifer's voice was calm, but there was something hard under it now. "I can," he said, "but your castle will feel it." Harry's heart hammered. "What does that mean?" he asked. Lucifer looked at him. "It means," Lucifer said, "that your home is built on rules. And if I use the wrong kind of force, I might break a rule you can't repair." Harry swallowed. For the first time, the fear shifted shape. This wasn't just about Dementors. It was about the world itself. Lucifer turned away from the window and walked toward the stairs, heading down, like the castle was just another hallway. Dumbledore followed, wand ready. Snape moved behind them, silent and tense. McGonagall stayed back to herd students, face pale but fierce. Harry tried to follow, but McGonagall snapped, "Potter, no!" Harry stopped, shaking. Ron and Hermione clutched his arms. He watched as Lucifer and Dumbledore hurried down into the dark below. From the window, Harry saw the door on the grounds shimmer, the air around it bending like heat. Then he saw something that made his blood run cold. A shadow moved behind the door. Not a Dementor, something taller, thinner, like a person made of smoke. It pressed against the doorway as if it wanted out. Lucifer reached the grounds and stood between the door and the castle like he was placing himself in front of a child. Dumbledore raised his wand, light blazing. The Dementors swarmed, and from far away, beyond the school, in a place where a pale man sat among snakes and broken promises, red eyes lifted. Voldemort felt the shift in the world like a tremor. He smiled, not because he understood it, because he knew in his bones that something had arrived at Hogwarts that did not belong to wizards at all. And that meant the game had changed. The grass on the Hogwarts grounds was wet and cold. The night wind pushed at cloaks and made the lake water slap against the shore. The strange door stood near the black lake, like a piece of the castle had been cut out and dragged outside. Around it, Dementors floated in a loose ring. They did not rush now. They waited. They moved in small circles, like sharks that had smelled blood, but were not sure if the bite would hurt them back. Dumbledore stood a few steps behind Lucifer. His wand was raised, phoenix light flickering at the tip. McGonagall had wanted to come down too, but Dumbledore had sent her back. "The students first," he had said. His voice had been calm, but it had not been gentle. Snape was nearby in the dark, half hidden in his cloak. His eyes stayed on Lucifer's hands. Lucifer walked straight up to the door. He did not hurry. He did not act like this was an emergency. He acted like it was a nuisance that had become too loud to ignore. The shadow behind, the door pressed again. It was tall and thin. It had shoulders, but they did not look right. It did not have a face that Dumbledore could see. It pushed like it wanted out. Like the space behind the door was too tight. Lucifer lifted his hand and placed his fingertips on the edge of the doorframe. The air around his fingers changed. It did not flash. It did not glow. It simply felt heavier. Like the world had gained an extra rule. The Dementors reacted at once. They drifted back. Their ring widened. The cold did not vanish, but it stopped spreading. It was like a fire that had been starved of air. Dumbledore watched, careful. This was not wand work. This was not like any magic he had studied. And yet it behaved like magic in one way. It obeyed a will. "You called it hungry," Dumbledore said quietly. Lucifer did not look back. "It is," he said. "It wants more than me." The shadow inside the doorway shoved harder. Lucifer's voice stayed calm. "No," he said, as if speaking to a child trying to touch a hot stove. The shadow shook. The doorway creaked, not in wood, but in the air. The night itself seemed to strain. Snape's wand twitched upward. Dumbledore raised his wand higher, but he did not cast. He was waiting, watching, ready to protect the school if anything came through. Lucifer sighed. "You have a lot of fear trapped in this world," he said softly. "It leaks into everything, even your doors." Dumbledore's eyes narrowed. "Can you close it without harming the castle?" he asked. Lucifer's fingers pressed harder into the frame. "Yes," he said, "but it will complain." Dumbledore almost smiled. Almost. Hogwarts complains about most things, he said. Lucifer's mouth twitched. This complaint will be louder, he said. Then Lucifer did something that made Dumbledore's stomach tighten. He did not pull the door shut. He did not lock it. He did not seal it like a normal barrier. He turned his wrist slightly, like he was twisting a key that was not there. The air rippled. The doorframe looked like it bent inward by a hair. A sound came out of the doorway. Not a scream. Not a voice. More like the feeling you get when a glass breaks, but you hear it in your teeth. The shadow tried to force itself forward. Lucifer leaned in closer and said, very clearly, "Go back." His words were not loud. They were not magical in the way spells were. They sounded like a command the world recognized. The shadow slammed backward. The Dementors shuddered, like they had felt it too. A few of them spun away in panic, robes snapping. Lucifer's fingers moved along the frame in a slow circle. Wherever they passed, the air smoothed. The shimmering tear above the doorway shrank, like fabric being stitched. Dumbledore realized, with a chill that was not from the Dementors, that Lucifer was not just closing a door. He was repairing a wound in the world. When Lucifer finished, he pulled his hand away. The door still stood there, but it looked quieter, less sharp, like it was no longer connected to anything behind it. Lucifer tapped it once with his knuckles. The door cracked, not like wood cracking, like an illusion cracking. Then it fell apart into black dust that vanished before it touched the grass. The Dementors froze for one breath, as if waiting to see if the door would return. Lucifer turned his head and looked at them. His eyes were calm. "Leave," he said. Dumbledore's Phoenix Patronus flared bright at the same time, wings wide and blazing silver. The Dementors did not argue. They pulled back, drifting away from the lake in a ragged line, like a wave dragged out to sea. The cold began to lift. The night air returned to normal winter chill instead of soul-freezing emptiness. Dumbledore lowered his wand, slowly. "Thank you," he said, because it was true, and because he refused to let fear make him rude. Lucifer looked at him. "Don't thank me yet," he said. Snape's voice cut in like a thin knife. "Why not?" he asked. Lucifer's gaze slid towards Snape. "Because whatever opened that door now knows where you live," Lucifer said. "And it knows your castle can't stop it on its own." Snape's jaw tightened. Dumbledore's face did not change, but his eyes sharpened further. Lucifer looked back at the empty spot where the door had been. "It will try again," he said. "Just not in the same way." Dumbledore turned toward the castle, where warm light glowed in windows and the shapes of frightened students moved behind curtains. "Then we prepare," he said. Lucifer smiled faintly. "Yes," he said. "Now you're speaking my language." The hospital wing smelled like clean sheets and potions. The light was too bright for how late it was. Madame Pomfrey moved like a storm, snapping orders, checking pulses, pushing worried students back. Harry sat on the edge of a bed, with his hands clenched tight. Colin Creevey lay nearby, pale and sweating, his breathing shallow. Harry had seen Colin's face when the cold hit him. He could not forget it. Ron sat beside Harry, rubbing his own arms like he was trying to scrape the memory off his skin. Hermione stood a few steps away with her arms wrapped around herself, eyes sharp and wet at the same time. Dumbledore walked in quietly. The room softened around him, just a little, like people wanted to believe he meant safety. He stopped near Harry's bed. "Mr. Potter," he said gently. Harry looked up fast. "Is Colin going to be okay?" he asked. Madame Pomfrey answered before Dumbledore could. "He will," she said firmly. "He's weak, but he will." Then she pointed at Harry's chest. "And you will stop blaming yourself. or I will give you a potion that makes you sleep for a week." Harry swallowed and nodded because he did not know what else to do. Dumbledore's gaze moved to Hermione and Ron. "You were brave," he said. "But bravery does not mean you must carry every fear alone." Hermione's voice was tight. "How did Dementors get inside Hogwarts?" she asked. "They can't. Not like that." Dumbledore's eyes flicked toward the windows, toward the dark grounds. "They should not have," he said. Ron's voice came out rough. "So, it's because of him," Ron said. Dumbledore did not pretend to misunderstand. "It is because of what followed him," Dumbledore said carefully, "and because something noticed the change." Harry stared at the floor. "He stopped them like it was nothing," Harry said. Dumbledore's voice stayed calm. "Yes," he said, "and that should comfort you and trouble you at the same time." Hermione's eyes narrowed. "What is he?" she asked again. Dumbledore paused. "He calls himself Lucifer," he said. "He claims he is not human. He claims he left a place people fear." Ron made a small sound, like a laugh that died halfway. "That's cheerful," he muttered. Dumbledore leaned closer. "Listen to me," he said softly, so only the three of them could hear. "You will not chase him. You will not confront him alone. You will not make bargains with him." Hermione flinched slightly at that word. Bargains. Harry's mouth went dry. He thought of the music room, the way Lucifer had said, "If you ever ask me a question, I will answer honestly," and then had stopped when Harry said no. Harry nodded. "Okay," he said, because he meant it, and because he was scared of how easy it had been to almost say yes. Dumbledore straightened. "Get some rest," he said. "Tomorrow will be loud." He was right. By morning, the school was buzzing like a disturbed beehive. Students huddled in groups. Some looked at the doors and hallways like they expected cold to pour out again. Others spoke too loudly, trying to crush fear with noise. At breakfast, owls slammed into windows and dropped newspapers onto tables. The Daily Prophet headline was big and ugly. "Hogwarts breached. Dark forces inside the castle?" There was a sketch under it. A tall man in a suit, smiling. The artist had made the smile look sharp and cruel, like a knife. Hermione snatched one and read fast, her face getting tighter with each line. Ron leaned over her shoulder and swore under his breath. Harry read it too and felt sick. The paper did not say Lucifer at first. It used phrases like unknown entity, unregistered being, and possible link to Dementor activity. Then, halfway down, it said the name. Lucifer. Harry's stomach dropped at how the word looked in ink. It felt heavier on paper than it had in the corridor. Around the hall, students whispered the name like it might bite them. Dumbledore arrived at the staff table with McGonagall, Snape, and the others. He looked calm, but Harry could see it in his shoulders. He was bracing. Lucifer entered a moment later. He walked in like he had every right to be there. He did not glance at the papers. He did not glance at the staring students. He moved to the staff table and sat down like he had been doing it for years. Some students gasped. One first-year dropped a spoon. Lucifer picked up the spoon with 2 fingers, set it upright, and slid it back to the child without looking annoyed. The child stared like she had been handed a live dragon. McGonagall's jaw clenched. Snape didn't move at all, but his eyes followed every small motion. Lucifer looked across the hall at the floating newspapers, then at Dumbledore. "Your press is dramatic," he said. Dumbledore's voice was quiet. "They are frightened," he said. Lucifer's smile turned faint. "They should be," he said. And then he took a sip of tea, like he had just commented on the weather. Hermione leaned toward Harry. "This is bad," she whispered. "If the prophet is printing his name, the ministry will come." Ron swallowed. "Let them," he muttered. "Maybe they can, I don't know." "Arrest him." Hermione shot him a look. "Ron," she hissed, "you can't arrest a thunderstorm." Harry didn't answer. His eyes stayed on Lucifer's face. Lucifer looked bored, not scared, not tense. Bored. That scared Harry more than any headline. The ministry arrived before lunch. They did not come quietly. The front gates rattled. The air shimmered as anti-apparition protections argued with ministry spells. Then the gates opened anyway, because Hogwarts was powerful. But the ministry had keys to certain doors in the law. A line of witches and wizards marched up the path, aurors in dark robes, a few stiff-looking officials with clipboards, and at the center, walking like she was proud to be seen, Dolores Umbridge. She wore pink, as always. The color looked wrong against the gray winter sky. Harry's mouth went dry. Umbridge stepped into the entrance hall and smiled like she had already won. "Headmaster," she said in a sweet voice that made Harry's skin crawl. What a surprise. Dumbledore met her at the foot of the stairs. His voice was polite. "Dolores," he said, "Minister Fudge could not come himself?" Umbridge's smile widened. "The minister is terribly busy," she said, "but he cares very deeply about student safety." She looked around the hall like she was inspecting a dirty kitchen. "And about unusual dangers?" Behind her, two unspeakables stood in plain gray robes. Their faces were calm, but their eyes were alert. They were from the Department of Mysteries, the secret part of the ministry that studied strange magic. Most people did not even like to say their job title. The aurors fanned out, hands near their wands. They did not point them yet, but everyone could feel the threat. Dumbledore's voice stayed even. "You are welcome to speak with me," he said, "and my staff, but I will not have my students frightened by armed visitors." Umbridge's voice stayed syrupy. "Oh, of course," she said. "We will. Be gentle." Then she leaned closer, eyes bright. "Now, where is he?" Dumbledore did not move. "Who?" he asked, though both of them knew. Umbridge's smile became tight. "The man," she said, like the word tasted bad. "The one the prophet named. Lucifer." At that name, one of the unspeakable's eyes flicked. Just for a second. Dumbledore's gaze sharpened. He noticed it too. "Ah," Dumbledore said softly. "So you have already decided what to call him." Umbridge blinked, then recovered. "Names are important," she said. "We need proper paperwork." Dumbledore's voice turned colder. "This is not a creature in a cage," he said. Umbridge's smile did not break. "That remains to be seen," she said. A soft clap echoed in the hall. Everyone turned. Lucifer stood halfway down the stairs, one hand resting lightly on the railing. He had appeared without footsteps, without warning, like the castle itself had decided to place him there at exactly the worst moment. Umbridge's eyes widened, then narrowed. She straightened her shoulders like a small animal trying to look bigger. Lucifer smiled at her. "Hello," he said. Umbridge forced a laugh. "Hello," she trilled. "You must be Lucifer," he said calmly. Umbridge's smile tightened. "Yes," she said. "Mr. Lucifer." Lucifer's eyebrows lifted. "Mister," he repeated. "That's adorable." One of the aurors shifted his stance. Another glanced at the unspeakables, like he wanted permission to do something. Umbridge stepped forward, hands clasped. "On behalf of the Ministry of Magic," she said, "I must ask you to submit to a simple registration. Just routine. A few questions. A few tests." Lucifer walked down the last steps. His shoes made no sound on the stone. He stopped a few feet from Umbridge. He looked at her like he was looking at a glass that had cracked. "No," Lucifer said. Umbridge blinked. "I'm sorry," she said. "No," Lucifer repeated, still calm. "I don't do registration." Umbridge's smile froze. "Everyone in Britain follows the law," she said sharply, sweetness slipping. Lucifer tilted his head. "Everyone?" he asked. Umbridge's cheeks colored. "You are in our world," she said. "In our school, under our authority." Lucifer's smile widened, and it was not friendly. "Authority," he said softly. "You mean control." Umbridge lifted her chin. "I mean safety," she said. Lucifer's eyes flicked over her face. "No," he said. "You mean comfort. Your comfort. You want to believe you can put me in a folder." The unspeakable spoke for the first time. One of them, a tall man with a flat voice, said, "You triggered an abnormal reality event. We need to understand the nature of your presence." Lucifer looked at him. "You want to understand," Lucifer said, "or you want to contain?" The unspeakable didn't answer directly. "Our instruments reacted," he said, strongly. Lucifer nodded once, as if agreeing with a simple fact. "Yes," he said, "they did." Umbridge's voice snapped. "This is not a debate," she said. "This is an order." Dumbledore's voice cut in, quiet but firm. "Dolores," he said, "you will not order anyone in this castle except those under your employment, and you are not under my employment." Umbridge's eyes flashed. "Headmaster," she hissed. Lucifer turned his gaze to Dumbledore for a moment. Something in his face softened slightly. Then he looked back at Umbridge. "I'll make you a deal," Lucifer said. Umbridge's eyes lit up, greedy and eager, before she could stop herself. "A deal?" she said quickly. Dumbledore's voice sharpened. "Lucifer!" he warned. Lucifer lifted one finger, not looking at Dumbledore. "Not with a student," Lucifer said calmly. "Relax." Umbridge leaned forward. "Yes," she said, smiling hard. "Yes. A deal." Lucifer's smile was smooth. "You ask your questions," he said, "and I will answer one." Umbridge blinked. "Just one?" she snapped. Lucifer nodded. "One," he said, "but it will be the most honest answer you've ever received in your life." Umbridge licked her lips. "Fine," she said. "Where did you come from?" Lucifer looked at her, and his eyes went very still. "Some call it hell," he said simply. The entrance hall went silent, like someone had snapped the sound out of the air. One Auror's wand lifted before he remembered himself. Umbridge's face twitched. "That's," she began. Lucifer didn't let her dodge. "Now," he said, "my question." Umbridge tried to swallow. "What?" she asked. Lucifer leaned in just slightly. "When you say safety," he said softly, "who are you protecting? The children? Or your own power?" Umbridge's mouth opened. No words came out. Her lips moved like she was trying to speak through glue. Her eyes went wide with panic. Lucifer did not touch her. He did not raise a wand. He did nothing that looked like a spell. But the hall seemed to demand an answer. Umbridge's voice finally squeaked out, small and ugly. "My power," she whispered. A few students who had been watching from the stair landing gasped. Umbridge slapped a hand over her own mouth, horrified. Lucifer leaned back and smiled. "Thank you," he said. Umbridge's face went red. You, she stammered, shaking. Dumbledore stepped forward, eyes hard. "Dolores," he said calmly, "I suggest you leave before you embarrass yourself further." Umbridge's eyes flashed with fury. She whirled to the Aurors. "Detain him!" she snapped. The Aurors hesitated. They looked at Lucifer. Lucifer looked back. He didn't move. He didn't threaten. He just stood there, calm, like a storm that hadn't decided to rain yet. The Auror's hands tightened on their wands, and then, one by one, they lowered them. Umbridge's voice rose. "This is an outrage." Lucifer's smile stayed in place. "Yes," he said lightly. "It is." The unspeakables exchanged a look. The tall one said carefully, "We will report to the minister." Lucifer nodded. "Please do," he said. "Tell him I said hello." Umbridge shook with rage as she turned on her heel. "This isn't over," she hissed at Dumbledore. "Not even close." When they left, the air in the entrance hall seemed to loosen again. People breathed. Students whispered. Ron, who had been watching from behind a pillar with Harry and Hermione, muttered, "I almost feel sorry for her." Hermione stared at Lucifer, pale. "He made her tell the truth," she whispered. Harry swallowed. "Without a wand," he said. Hermione's hands shook. "Harry," she whispered, "what if he can do that to anyone?" Harry looked at Lucifer's calm face and felt cold in a new way. That evening, Dumbledore gathered his staff in the staff room. The fire crackled in the hearth, but the warmth did not reach the corners. McGonagall looked furious. Snape looked like stone. Flitwick looked worried. Sprout looked tired. Lucifer sat in an armchair like he belonged there. He held a teacup and did not drink it. Dumbledore spoke first. "The ministry will not stop," he said. McGonagall slammed her hand on the table. "They will try to take him," she said. "Or they will try to take the school." Snape's voice was low. "They cannot take him," he said flatly. "But they can punish us for failing." Flitwick wrung his hands. "We are meant to protect the children," he said. "How do we do that with the ministry at the gates, and whatever this is in our castle?" He glanced at Lucifer and looked away quickly. Lucifer's eyes flicked toward Flitwick. "You do it by being honest," Lucifer said, "and by not pretending your laws can handle what you don't understand." McGonagall's eyes flashed. "You are the problem," she snapped. Lucifer looked at her calmly. "I'm a problem," he corrected. "Not the only one." Dumbledore's voice stayed even. "What followed you last night?" he said. "The door, the Dementors, the shadow. Was it from your world?" Lucifer's gaze went distant. "Not mine," he said, "but it knows mine. It uses fear like a key." Snape's voice was sharp. "So you admit you attract danger?" Lucifer's eyes slid to Snape. "I admit your world is loud enough to attract danger without me," Lucifer said. "You have a Dark Lord collecting souls like trophies. You have a government that lies to children. You have a school that's a battlefield, and you call it education." Silence fell hard. Sprout's face tightened with pain because she knew it wasn't fully wrong. Dumbledore's eyes did not flinch. "And yet," he said softly, "you chose to protect those children." Lucifer's mouth twitched. "I did," he said. McGonagall leaned forward. "Why?" she demanded. "Do not say curiosity this time." Lucifer looked at the fire for a moment. When he spoke, his voice was quieter. "Because I have seen what happens when adults treat children like tools," he said, "and I'm bored of watching it." Snape's voice was cold. "Boredom," he said. "So we are entertainment." Lucifer's eyes returned to him. "If you think boredom makes me harmless, you are foolish," Lucifer said. "Boredom makes me dangerous, because I start testing walls, and rules, and people." Dumbledore's voice was firm. "Then you will not test my students," he said. Lucifer smiled slightly. "I already agreed," he said. "No deals, no tricks, no private games." McGonagall's eyes narrowed. "And if a student comes to you?" she asked. Lucifer shrugged. "Then I will do what you do," he said. "I will listen. I will tell the truth, and I will let them walk away." Snape's voice was like ice. You enjoy turning truth into a weapon. Lucifer didn't deny it. Truth is a weapon, he said simply. So is kindness. So is silence. Dumbledore held Lucifer's gaze. We have a war outside these walls, he said. And now, we have a new problem inside them. The Ministry will tighten its grip. Voldemort will adapt, and the children will be caught between. Lucifer leaned back. Then stop pretending you can control every outcome, he said. You can't. Dumbledore's voice softened, but his eyes stayed sharp. Perhaps, he said, but I can still choose to protect them, even if I lose. Lucifer stared at him for a long moment. Then, very quietly, Lucifer said, That is the first honest thing I've heard in this place. Snape's eyes narrowed further, like he hated that he had just heard a compliment. 2 days later, a new rumor spread through the school. Lucifer was making contracts. It started with a Hufflepuff boy who claimed Lucifer had promised him courage. Then a Ravenclaw girl said Lucifer had offered her perfect grades. Then a pair of Slytherins claimed Lucifer had offered them a way to control other people. Hermione chased the rumor like it was a fire. She found the truth in the library. A stack of parchment sat on a desk, guarded by a very stressed-looking prefect. On the top parchment, in neat handwriting, was a single line. No deals with minors. Under it, someone had written in messy ink, even if we ask very nicely. And under that, in the same neat handwriting as the first line, was, especially then. Hermione stared at it. Ron, beside her, snorted once. Okay, he muttered. That's funny. Hermione did not laugh. She grabbed the parchment and marched straight to McGonagall. McGonagall read it, lips thinning. Where did this come from? She demanded. Hermione's voice was tight. Students are approaching him, she said. They're trying to... She swallowed. They're trying to bargain. McGonagall's eyes flashed. I will handle it, she said sharply. This school will not become a marketplace. Hermione's throat tightened again because she realized something painful. Students weren't approaching Lucifer because they wanted evil. They were approaching him because they wanted help. They wanted to feel safe. They wanted answers. And their world kept giving them fear instead. That night, Hermione sat on her bed, with books stacked around her like a small fortress. Harry sat across from her, knees pulled up, looking exhausted. Ron lay sprawled on his stomach, half listening, half scared. Hermione held the thin, dusty book she had found earlier. Her finger tapped the word on the page. Lucifer, she said quietly. Ron groaned. Please don't, he muttered. I've had enough nightmares. Hermione ignored him. In Muggle stories, she said, Lucifer is the devil. Ron sat up fast. What? He snapped. Harry didn't move. His face went even paler. Hermione's voice shook, but she pushed through. It means Lightbringer, she said. Morningstar. It's not just a random name. It's a thing people have feared for a long time. Ron's eyes went wide. So he's actually... Hermione cut him off. I don't know, she said fast. These are Muggle stories, and Hogwarts has all kinds of old books that mix truth and myth. But the name matters, and the way he talks matters. He keeps saying choice. He keeps talking like he blames humans for their own evil. Harry's voice came out rough. He stopped the Dementors, he said. Ron swallowed. That doesn't mean he's good, he muttered. Hermione looked at Harry. He didn't have to, she said softly. He could have let them hurt people. And he didn't. Harry stared at his hands. He scares me, he admitted. Hermione nodded. Me, too, she said. But I'm also curious. Ron threw his hands up. Of course you are, he said. Hermione's voice sharpened. Ron, this is bigger than fear, she said. This could change everything. The war, the ministry, the way magic works. If he's real, if he's what the name says, then nothing we know is the limit. Ron stared at the ceiling like he wanted it to fall down and end the conversation. Harry swallowed. "He talked to me," he said quietly. Hermione's eyes snapped to him. "When?" she demanded. Harry hesitated. He didn't want to say it. It felt like admitting he had stood near a cliff edge. "In the music room," Harry said. "He played piano. He said he tells the truth. He offered something. Not a deal. He stopped when I said no." Ron's voice came out sharp. "You said no?" he asked. Harry glared. "Yes," he snapped. "Of course I did." Hermione's face softened. "Good," she whispered. Harry's voice got smaller. "He talked about prophecy," Harry said. "Like it's a cage." Hermione's eyes flickered. "Prophecy," she repeated. Ron frowned. "What does prophecy have to do with anything?" he asked. Hermione didn't answer right away. She looked at Harry like she was seeing the shape of something in the dark. "Harry," she said slowly, "where are prophecies kept?" Harry blinked. "The Department of Mysteries," he said, because he had heard adults whisper it. Hermione's breath caught. "And who works there?" she asked. "Unspeakables," Ron muttered. "Those weird ones Umbridge brought." Hermione nodded. "If the unspeakables are involved," she said, "and if Lucifer keeps talking about prophecy." Harry's scar did not burn, but his stomach sank anyway. Far away, in a place where the air smelled of damp stone and old blood, Voldemort sat in the dark, with Nagini coiled beside him. He listened to a Death Eater who was shaking so hard his words almost fell apart. "The Dementors withdrew," the man whispered. They fled. And the thing at Hogwarts? Lucifer. He did it. He spoke, my lord. And they obeyed." Voldemort's red eyes did not blink. He had felt the tremor in the world when the door opened. He had felt it when it closed. He had not understood what it was, not fully. But now he had a name. Lucifer, a name from old stories, from old fear. Voldemort did not fear the devil the way a child did. Voldemort feared only one thing: death. And Lucifer's arrival suggested something even worse than death. It suggested that the rules of the world were not as fixed as Voldemort believed. That was a problem. Or an opportunity. Voldemort's finger stroked Nagini's scales slowly. "Lucifer," he murmured. He tasted the word like poison and sugar mixed together. A Death Eater swallowed loudly. "Should we attack Hogwarts, my lord?" he asked, desperate. "Should we?" Voldemort's lips curled. "Attack?" he repeated softly. He almost laughed. Attack a thing that had made Dementors retreat like frightened dogs? No. Voldemort wasn't stupid. Not in the ways that mattered. "You cannot stab the ocean," Voldemort said calmly. "You cannot burn the sky." The Death Eater trembled. "Then what do we do?" he whispered. Voldemort's eyes gleamed. "We do what humans always do," he said. "We use what it wants." The Death Eater stared, confused. Voldemort leaned forward slightly, voice silky. "It likes truth," he said. "It likes choice. It dislikes cages." He smiled, slow and sharp. "Then we will build it a cage made of truth," Voldemort whispered. "We will offer it a choice it cannot ignore." Nagini lifted her head, tongue flicking. Voldemort's gaze turned distant, toward a place deep under the Ministry where the shelves of prophecy stood like frozen screams. "The Department of Mysteries," Voldemort said softly. "The Hall of Prophecy." The Death Eater's eyes widened. "The prophecy about you and Potter?" he whispered. Voldemort's smile widened. "Not only that," he said. "There are older prophecies, stranger ones, doors, tears, fallen stars." He looked back at the Death Eater. "Send word," he said. quietly. "Gather the ones who can move without being seen, and tell them this." His voice went cold. "Do not try to fight Lucifer," Voldemort said. "Use the children." The Death Eater flinched, but nodded. Voldemort leaned back, satisfied. He did not need to punch a god. He just needed to pull the right string. The next week at Hogwarts felt like living inside a tightened fist. Ministry owls came every day. Umbridge did not leave. She claimed a small office near the headmaster's corridor and began writing rules like she was building a wall out of ink. New signs appeared on doors. No unauthorized meetings, no unsupervised visitors, no exchange of magical favors. Students tore the signs down. Umbridge put them back up. It became a strange war of paper and stubbornness. Lucifer watched it all with a calm smile. He spent time in the music room at night. Sometimes Harry heard the piano through the stone. The sound was quiet, simple, and steady. It made the castle feel less like a battlefield for a few minutes. It also made Harry's skin crawl, because it reminded him Lucifer was here to stay. One afternoon, Harry found Lucifer standing by a corridor window, looking out at the grounds. The snow had started to fall. It dusted the grass and turned the lake edge pale. Harry stopped before he could stop himself. He didn't know why his feet had brought him there. Maybe he wanted answers. Maybe he wanted to prove to himself he could stand near that calm face and not break. Lucifer didn't turn right away. He spoke as if he had known Harry was coming. "You're thinking about prophecy," Lucifer said. Harry's stomach tightened. "How do you know?" he asked. Lucifer turned his head. "Because your world keeps pressing it onto you," he said. "Like a stamp." Harry swallowed. "Prophecy isn't... It's not like that," he said, but his voice did not sound sure. Lucifer's eyes stayed on him. "Isn't it?" he asked softly. Harry's hands clenched. "I didn't ask for any of this," he snapped. "I didn't ask to be..." He stopped, because he hated saying the words out loud. Lucifer's face did not mock him. It did not smile. It looked focused. "I know," Lucifer said quietly. Harry stared. "You don't know anything about me," he said. Lucifer's voice stayed calm. "I know what it feels like to have a story written about you," Lucifer said. "To be blamed, to be named, to be turned into a warning." Harry's throat went tight. "Are you saying you're good?" he asked, almost angry. Lucifer's mouth twitched. "I'm saying I'm honest," he said. "And honesty rarely fits into your neat boxes." Harry's voice shook. "Then what do you want?" he demanded. Lucifer looked out the window again. Snow fell slowly. Students moved like small dots on the grounds. "I want to see the place where your world keeps its cages," Lucifer said softly. Harry frowned. "What place?" he asked. Lucifer's eyes flicked back to him. "Where do you keep prophecies?" Lucifer asked. Harry went still. Lucifer smiled faintly. "Ah," he said. "So you do know." Harry swallowed hard. "The Department of Mysteries," he said. Lucifer nodded. "Yes," he said. "That place." Harry's heart hammered. "Why?" he asked. Lucifer's voice was quiet. "Because you are not the only child this world tries to control," he said. "And because if prophecy is real, it is a machine that steals choice. If it is not real, it is a lie that steals choice." He turned fully toward Harry. "Either way," Lucifer said, "it disgusts me." Harry's mouth went dry. "Dumbledore would never let you go," he said. Lucifer's smile returned, thin and sharp. "Dumbledore doesn't control me," he said. Harry flinched. "No," Harry said quickly. "I mean, he would never let me go." Lucifer looked at him closely. "Then don't go," Lucifer said. Harry blinked. "What?" he said. Lucifer shrugged. "Make your own choice," he said simply. "If you don't want to be dragged into that place, don't be." Harry stared, confused and angry at the same time. "You say that like it's easy," Harry snapped. Lucifer's eyes stayed calm. "It isn't easy," he said. "It's simple. Those are different things." Harry's breath came fast. "If you go," Harry said, voice low, "you'll make it worse." Lucifer leaned closer a fraction. "Or I'll make it honest," he said. Harry felt a cold wave of fear, not because of Lucifer's power, because of what Lucifer might reveal. The trap began with a message. Not a letter. Not an owl. A dream. Harry woke up with his heart pounding. His scar did not burn, but his mind felt like it had been grabbed and shaken. He had seen the Department of Mysteries. He had seen the long black corridor and the doors that looked the same. And he had seen a room of shelves. One shelf stood out. An orb of cloudy glass sat there, glowing faintly. On the shelf label, Harry saw his own name, and beneath it, another name. Not Voldemort. Lucifer. Harry's breath hitched. Then, in the dream, a whisper came from behind him. "Bring him." Harry shot upright in bed, sweating. Hermione was already awake, sitting up with her wand in hand. "Harry?" she whispered. "What's wrong?" Harry's voice shook. "I saw it," he said. "The department. The Hall of Prophecy. There was something with my name. And his." Ron groaned and sat up. "Please tell me you're not saying we're going to the Ministry," he muttered. Hermione's eyes went wide and sharp. "A prophecy with his name," she whispered. "Harry, that's not—" A soft knock came at the dorm door. Harry froze. The door opened before anyone answered. Lucifer stepped in, calm as ever, as if walking into a boys' dorm was normal. Ron yelped and grabbed his pillow like it was a weapon. Hermione stood, furious. "You can't just—" she began. Lucifer lifted one hand. "No deals," he said calmly. "No tricks. I'm not here for that." Harry swallowed. "How did you get in?" he demanded. Lucifer looked around at the room like he was judging the furniture. "Your castle allowed it," he said. "Interesting." Hermione's voice was tight. "It doesn't allow," she started. Lucifer's eyes flicked to her. "It does," he said simply. "It chooses." Harry's stomach dropped. The castle. Choosing. Lucifer looked back at Harry. "You dreamed," Lucifer said. "The department called." Harry's voice came out rough. "I didn't ask you to." "Come," he said. Lucifer nodded. "Good," he said. "Then you can tell me no." Hermione stepped between Harry and Lucifer. "He's not going," she snapped. "None of us are going. It's a trap." Lucifer smiled faintly. "Yes," he said. "Of course it is." Ron stared. "Then why would you?" he started. Lucifer's gaze stayed on Harry. "Because traps are honest," Lucifer said. "They tell you what your enemy wants. They show you the shape of their fear." Harry's heart pounded. "You want to go?" he said. Lucifer's smile was small. "I do," he said. Hermione's voice rose. "You'll get students killed," she snapped. Lucifer's face did not change. "I won't," he said. Hermione shook. "You can't promise that," she said. Lucifer's eyes sharpened. "Watch me," he said softly. Harry swallowed. "Dumbledore won't let this happen," Harry said. Lucifer looked toward the window, as if hearing something far away. "Dumbledore is busy being a wall," Lucifer said. "Walls don't always notice the knife coming from inside." Harry's blood went cold. "What knife?" he whispered. Lucifer looked back. "The Ministry," he said. "The Dark Lord. The fear. They are all sharpening." Hermione's voice dropped to a whisper. "Harry," she said, "no matter what you saw, we don't go. We tell Dumbledore." Lucifer nodded. "Tell him," Lucifer said. "I already did." Harry blinked. "You did?" he asked. Lucifer smiled. I'm not reckless, he said. I'm just stubborn. Ron muttered. That's one word for it. Lucifer's eyes flicked to Ron. You're funny, he said. I like you. Ron stared like he wanted to disappear into his blanket. Lucifer looked back at Harry. Here is the truth, Lucifer said. They want me in that room. They think they can use it. They think prophecy is a chain. His smile grew a little. I want to see if it is. Hermione's voice shook. And what if it is? She asked. Lucifer's eyes stayed calm. Then I break it, he said. Harry's stomach turned. You don't get to break my life, he said, voice low. Lucifer stopped smiling. For the first time, the room felt heavier, not with threat, but with attention. Lucifer looked at Harry for a long moment. Then he nodded once. Good, Lucifer said softly. Say that again when it matters. He turned to leave. At the door, he paused and said, almost casually, if you come because you choose it, not because you're pushed. Then he walked out, and the door closed behind him like nothing strange had happened. Ron exhaled like he had been holding his breath for a year. I hate him, he whispered. Hermione's face was pale. I don't, she whispered, and that scares me. Harry stared at the floor. He had a feeling no would not be enough to stop what was coming. The order came that evening, not from the Ministry, not from Umbridge, from Dumbledore. He met Harry, Hermione, and Ron in his office. Fawkes watched in silence. The portraits pretended not to listen, which meant they were listening. Dumbledore's face looked older than usual. You had a dream, Dumbledore said gently. Harry swallowed. Yes, he said. Dumbledore nodded. I suspected you might, he said. Hermione's voice snapped. It's Voldemort, she said. It's a trap. Dumbledore's eyes stayed calm. Yes, he said. It is. Ron threw up his hands. Then why are we talking like we might go? He blurted. Dumbledore's gaze sharpened. Because this trap is pointed at more than you, he said. Harry's stomach sank. At him, Harry said. Dumbledore nodded. At Lucifer, he said. Hermione's voice rose. Then don't let him go, she snapped. Dumbledore sighed. I cannot stop him, he said softly. Not by force, not by spell, not by law. Harry felt a tightness in his chest. Dumbledore admitting that out loud made it real in a new way. Dumbledore continued. But I can choose how we respond. We can hide and let others walk into danger. Or we can move carefully and reduce harm. Ron muttered. Reduce harm. Great. Dumbledore's eyes softened slightly. Ronald, he said, I am not asking you to be brave for fun. Ron looked down, ashamed. Dumbledore turned to Harry. Harry, he said quietly, you may stay here. I will not order you to go. Harry's breath caught. Dumbledore held his gaze. But if you do go, Dumbledore said, you go with me. You do not go alone. You do not chase visions like a leash. Hermione's eyes widened. You're going, she whispered. Dumbledore nodded. Yes, he said. If the Department of Mysteries is involved, I must be there. Ron's face twisted. And Umbridge? He asked. She'll stop us. Dumbledore's smile turned thin. Dolores believes she controls doors, he said. She is wrong, Harry swallowed. And Lucifer? He asked. Dumbledore's eyes flicked toward the window, toward the night, as if he could feel Lucifer's presence somewhere in the castle. He will go, Dumbledore said. Whether we join him or not. Hermione's voice was tight. Then we join, she said. Ron groaned. Of course we do, he muttered. Harry didn't answer. He thought of the dream orb with his name and Lucifer's. He thought of Lucifer's calm promise. If you come because you choose it. Harry clenched his fists. I'm going, he said. Dumbledore nodded once. Then we move tonight, he said. Leaving Hogwarts did not feel like leaving a school. It felt like stepping out of a fort. McGonagall wanted to come. Snape wanted to come. Dumbledore refused them both. McGonagall argued until her voice shook. Snape argued with cold logic. Dumbledore held firm. Someone must remain to protect the castle if the Eoccupal Ministry decides to inspect it further, Dumbledore said. McGonagall's eyes flashed. And if you don't return, she demanded. Dumbledore's voice was gentle. Then you protect the children, he said. As you always do. Snape's eyes narrowed. And if Lucifer decides to test the department, he asked. Dumbledore's voice turned firm. Then I will be there to pull him back from breaking something none of us can repair, he said. Snape's jaw tightened. He did not like being told he could not control an outcome. Neither did Harry. But Harry was learning that control was a luxury in war. They did not use the front gates. Dumbledore led them through a narrow corridor behind a tapestry, down a staircase that Harry had never seen before. The air smelled like old stone and dust. At the bottom was a small, plain door. Lucifer stood in front of it, hands in his pockets, as if he had been waiting for a bus. You took your time, Lucifer said. Hermione snapped. We're not doing this for you. Lucifer smiled. Of course not, he said. You're doing it for yourselves. That's healthier. Ron muttered. I hate how he talks. Lucifer glanced at him. And yet you're still here, he said. Dumbledore stepped forward. We are going to the Ministry, Dumbledore said. Quietly, quickly. We avoid conflict if possible. Lucifer nodded. Yes, he said. Avoiding conflict is your hobby. Dumbledore's eyes twinkled once, tired, but steady. And honesty is yours, he said. Lucifer's smile returned. It is, he said. Then Lucifer reached for the plain door. Harry expected a key. A spell. A trick. Lucifer just turned the handle. The door opened. On the other side was not a hallway in Hogwarts. It was a dark stone corridor with green lamps and a heavy smell of metal and ink. The Ministry. Hermione's breath caught. That's impossible, she whispered. Lucifer stepped through as if it was the most normal thing in the world. Dumbledore went next, wand ready. Harry followed, heart pounding, then Ron, then Hermione. The door closed behind them with a soft click. Harry turned back fast. There was no door, just stone. Ron made a tiny noise. Nope, he whispered. Nope, don't like that. Lucifer glanced back at them. Welcome, he said. Try not to touch anything. Your government likes germs. Hermione shot him a look. We are not joking, she snapped. Lucifer shrugged. Neither am I, he said. That's why it's funny. The Ministry at night felt like a sleeping beast. The halls were quieter, but not empty. A few workers moved through with stacks of papers. A pair of aurors walked past at a distance, chatting softly. The golden statues in the atrium stood frozen, shining under the lamps. Harry kept his hood up and tried not to stare. They moved fast, guided by Dumbledore's memory and Lucifer's calm certainty. Ron whispered, Does he know where to go? As they passed, a corridor split. Hermione whispered back, He's not looking, and her voice was frightened. He's listening. Lucifer walked ahead without a wand. His eyes flicked once, twice, like he could feel the shape of the building. Dumbledore led them to a lift. The golden gate opened. Inside the lift, small lights glowed. Buttons marked different levels. Harry's stomach tightened when he saw the lowest one. Department of Mysteries. Dumbledore pressed it. The lift sank. Harry's ears popped. The air grew colder, not Dementor cold, but underground cold. The walls felt thicker. He could feel the weight of magic pressing from every direction. When the lift opened, the corridor outside was long and dark. Doors lined the sides all the same. Harry's heart pounded. He had seen this in his dream. Hermione's whisper shook. "This place feels wrong," she said. Lucifer's eyes gleamed faintly. "It feels honest," he corrected. Ron swallowed. "That's not better," he muttered. Dumbledore held up a hand. "Quiet," he said softly. They moved forward. Harry's skin prickled. Then a voice came from the darkness ahead. A soft laugh. Not Umbridge. Not an Auror. A Death Eater. A figure stepped into view with a wand, raised, and a mask gleaming white. Then another. Then another. They had been waiting. Hermione's breath hitched. "It's an ambush," she whispered, like she couldn't believe it. Lucifer smiled faintly. "Yes," he said, "as expected." The Death Eater at the front spoke in a cold voice. "Headmaster," he said, "how generous of you to visit." Dumbledore's voice stayed calm. "Stand aside," he said. The Death Eater's wand lifted higher. "We have orders," he said. "The Dark Lord wants the boy. And he wants—" The mask tilted toward Lucifer. "The stranger," Lucifer's smile widened. "Tell him," Lucifer said, "that I'm flattered." The Death Eater's wand flashed. "Stupefy!" Red light shot toward Dumbledore. Dumbledore flicked his wand. The spell hit a shimmering shield and dissolved like it had struck a wall of water. Other spells flew at once, green, red, purple streaks through the dark. Harry's body moved before his mind did. "Protego!" he shouted. Hermione shouted a shield too. Ron tried to cast, but his spell cracked off the wall, shaky. Lucifer did not raise a wand. He lifted one hand. The spells stopped in midair. They hung there, bright and humming, inches from their targets. Harry's mouth fell open. Hermione stared like she had forgotten how to blink. Ron made a strangled sound. Ron whispered. Lucifer's fingers closed slowly. The spells collapsed into sparks and vanished. The Death Eaters froze. Then one of them yelled, panicked, "What are you?" Lucifer's eyes stayed calm. "Honest," he said. Dumbledore used the moment. His wand swept in a tight arc. Ropes shot out and wrapped two Death Eaters, slamming them into the floor. Harry cast a disarming spell and knocked a wand from a third. Hermione stunned another with a sharp shout, her voice steady even as her hands shook. The Death Eaters backed up fast. They didn't want to fight Dumbledore. They definitely didn't want to fight Lucifer. So they did what Death Eaters always did when outmatched. They changed the battlefield. One of them slammed his wand into the ground and shouted a twisting spell. The corridor doors began to spin, not physically, but magically. The doors that were identical suddenly felt like they were moving. The hallway bent. The layout confused the eye. Harry blinked, and suddenly he wasn't sure which door was which. Hermione grabbed his sleeve. "Stay close," she snapped. Ron clung to Hermione's other side. "I am close," he hissed. Lucifer's head tilted, listening again. "Cute," he murmured. Dumbledore's wand flashed. "Follow me," he said, and he moved toward a door on the left. Lucifer moved with him. Harry, Ron, and Hermione ran after. They burst into a room, and the world inside was different. A vast space opened up, filled with shelves that reached high into darkness. Rows and rows, orbs of cloudy glass sat in them, each one labeled with tiny writing. Hermione's breath caught. "The Hall of Prophecy," she whispered. Harry's stomach dropped. He recognized it from the dream. He felt pulled forward even as fear tried to drag him back. Lucifer stepped in and went still. For the first time since Harry had met him, Lucifer looked surprised. Not scared. Not threatened. Just genuinely, sharply interested. He walked between the shelves slowly, eyes scanning the labels. Dumbledore's voice was tight. "Do not touch anything," he warned. Lucifer's smile returned, thin. "I'm not a child," he said. Hermione hissed under her breath. "That's exactly what children say." Ron muttered, "We're going to die." A shout echoed from the doorway behind them. More Death Eaters poured in. Spells flew again. Dumbledore raised shields. Hermione and Harry ducked behind a shelf row. Ron stumbled after them. Lucifer stayed in the open aisle, not because he was careless, but because he didn't need cover. Spells struck the air around him and vanished before they reached him, like they had hit an invisible wall. One Death Eater tried something different. He fired a spell at the shelves. An orb shattered. A pale mist burst out and twisted into a voice. It spoke words too fast for Harry to catch. Not a normal voice, a prophecy voice, cold and distant, like it was coming from the bottom of a deep well. Hermione's eyes went wide with horror. "Stop breaking them!" she yelled. The Death Eater laughed and fired again. 2 more orbs shattered. More voices poured out. More words. A storm of half-sentences and warning tones that made Harry's head ache. Students in old prophecies screamed. Adults in old prophecies cried. Some voices sounded like they were predicting death. Some sounded like they were predicting betrayal. The air filled with it. Harry clapped his hands over his ears. "Make it stop!" he shouted. Dumbledore's voice rose. "Enough!" he barked, and his wand flashed. A wave of magic pushed outward, silencing the wild mist for a breath. Lucifer's eyes narrowed. He looked at the shelves, at the broken orbs, at the fear in Harry's face. Then he looked at the Death Eaters. His voice dropped low. "You use prophecy like a weapon," he said. "That's disgusting." A Death Eater sneered. "Prophecy rules your world," he said. "Even you cannot escape it." Lucifer smiled. "Watch me," he said softly. He lifted one hand. The broken mist of prophecy stopped swirling. It froze. The voices cut off like someone had shut a door in their mouths. The mist pulled back into itself, tight and controlled, like smoke being forced into a bottle. Lucifer closed his fist. The mist vanished. Harry stared, stunned. Hermione's mouth was open. Ron whispered, "I'm going to faint." Lucifer turned toward the shelves. His eyes moved fast now, scanning labels. Harry felt a cold dread rise. "No," Harry whispered, not even sure why. Lucifer's head tilted. "There," he said quietly. He stopped in front of a shelf. His eyes locked on a label. Harry's heart slammed, because Harry could see the label too. Harry Potter. And beneath it, in smaller writing, Lucifer. Hermione sucked in a sharp breath. "Oh no," she whispered. Ron's voice came out thin. "That's not real," he said. Lucifer stared at the orb like it was an insult. Dumbledore moved closer, voice careful. "Lucifer," he said. "Step away." Lucifer did not move. His voice was quiet. "So," he said, "your world wrote me into its story." Harry's throat went tight. "It's not," he tried. Lucifer finally looked at him. "Isn't it?" Lucifer asked softly. A Death Eater shouted, "Take it!" 2 Death Eaters charged down the aisle, wands raised, trying to grab the orb. Dumbledore reacted instantly. He cast a blast that knocked them back like dolls. Lucifer didn't even glance at them. He reached out toward the orb. Harry's heart stopped. "Don't," Harry said, voice shaking. Lucifer paused. His hand hovered inches from the glass. He turned his head slightly. "Why?" he asked. Harry's voice came out raw. "Because it's my life," Harry said. "Not yours, not Voldemort's, not prophecies." Lucifer stared at him. The Death Eaters regrouped, circling, looking for openings. Hermione stepped beside Harry, voice shaking but firm. "If you touch it," she said to Lucifer, "you decide for him. That's exactly what you hate." Lucifer's eyes flicked to Hermione. Then slowly, he pulled his hand back. He didn't smile. He didn't look pleased. He looked controlled, like he had just stopped himself from doing something easy and satisfying. "Good," Lucifer said quietly, not to them, but to himself. "You have teeth." Harry's breath came out in a shaky rush. Then the air shifted. A new presence pressed into the room like a heavy shadow. The Death Eaters all turned at once. Some stepped back like frightened animals. A cold laugh echoed. A tall figure in black robes appeared near the entrance, pale face like carved bone, red eyes bright. Voldemort. Harry's scar burned like fire. He staggered, gripping his head. Hermione grabbed him. "Harry!" she cried. Ron's voice shook. "He's here," he whispered. Voldemort's gaze swept over Dumbledore, then landed on Lucifer. For a moment, the room felt like it held its breath. Voldemort smiled. "Lucifer," he said smoothly. Lucifer smiled back. "Tom," Lucifer replied, and the way he said it made Voldemort's smile twitch. Voldemort's eyes narrowed. "You know my name," he said. Lucifer shrugged. "Names are loud," he said. "Yours screams." Dumbledore stepped forward, wand raised. "This ends here," Dumbledore said. Voldemort did not look at him. His gaze stayed on Lucifer. "You are not a wizard," Voldemort said softly. "You are not even human." Lucifer's smile was calm. "Correct," he said. Voldemort's voice grew smoother, almost friendly. "Then you are wasted in this school," he said. "Wasted among children and frightened old men." Harry's stomach turned at the way Voldemort spoke like he was offering candy. Voldemort continued, eyes locked on Lucifer. "Join me," he said. "Help me break the only chain that matters. Death." Lucifer's smile faded slightly. "Ah," he said. "There it is." Voldemort's eyes flashed. "You know fear," he said. "You know what it means to be trapped by a story. I can offer you a world where you are not blamed, where you are not named as a monster." Lucifer stared at him for a long moment. Then he laughed softly. "Nor kind, not cruel, just amused." "You think I want your approval," Lucifer said. Voldemort's smile tightened. "I think you want freedom," he said. Lucifer's eyes went very still. "I have freedom," he said. "You have obsession." Voldemort's voice sharpened. "I have purpose," he hissed. Lucifer tilted his head. "No," Lucifer said calmly. "You have panic dressed up as purpose." Voldemort's red eyes flared. "Careful," he whispered. Lucifer's smile returned, sharp and simple. "Make me," he said. Voldemort's wand lifted. Green light flashed, not toward Lucifer, toward Harry. Harry's breath caught. He tried to move, but his body felt slow, like fear had glued him to the floor. Dumbledore cast a shield instantly. The green spell slammed into it and splashed outward like poison rain. Lucifer's head turned slowly toward Voldemort. His voice dropped low. "Children," Lucifer said. "No." Voldemort's smile widened, because he had gotten exactly what he wanted. Pressure, a test, a choice. Voldemort's voice stayed smooth. "Then prove it," he said. "Save him." Another green spell flew. Lucifer moved. He did not block with a shield. He did not counter with a spell. He stepped forward, and the space between him and Harry folded, like the world had decided distance didn't matter. Lucifer appeared in front of Harry. The green spell hit Lucifer's chest and stopped. It did not explode. It did not pierce. It simply ended, like the spell had run into a rule it could not cross. Harry stared up at Lucifer, shaking. Lucifer did not look down. He kept his eyes on Voldemort. "You can't kill what isn't yours," Lucifer said softly. Voldemort's face twisted with rage. He fired again, faster, harder, chaining curses like a whip. Lucifer lifted one hand, and the curses hung in the air, frozen, green sparks humming like trapped insects. Dumbledore stared, tight-faced, because even he had never seen a killing, curse treated like a toy. Hermione whispered, "That's impossible," and her voice sounded like she was going to cry. Ron's knees buckled. He grabbed a shelf to stay upright. Lucifer's fingers closed. The curses shattered into harmless light. Voldemort's eyes narrowed into red slits. He shifted tactics immediately, because that was what he did. He didn't keep punching a wall. He looked for a door. His gaze flicked to the prophecy shelf with Harry's name, then to the orb itself, then back to Lucifer. "You hate cages," Voldemort said softly. Lucifer didn't answer. Voldemort's voice became a whisper that still filled the room. "Then break them," he said. "Break this room. Break these shelves. Break these lies." Harry's stomach dropped. Voldemort was trying to push Lucifer into doing something reckless, something big, something that would damage the world and make Lucifer the villain in everyone's eyes. Hermione's voice shook. "He's baiting you," she whispered, not sure if Lucifer would even care. Lucifer's eyes stayed on Voldemort. "Yes," Lucifer said softly. "He is." Voldemort smiled. "And?" he asked. Lucifer's voice was calm. "And I'm not stupid," he said. He turned his head slightly, as if listening to something deeper than sound. Then he looked at the shelves again, at all those trapped voices, those frozen futures, those written chains. Lucifer's jaw tightened. Harry could see it now. The real battle was not fists or spells. It was restraint. Lucifer could tear this room apart. Harry felt that truth in his bones. But if Lucifer tore it apart, what would happen to everyone inside? Voldemort knew that too. That was why he smiled. Lucifer finally spoke, voice quiet but hard. "You want me to break your cage so you can call me a monster," Lucifer said. Voldemort's eyes gleamed. "I want you to be what you are," Voldemort whispered. Lucifer's smile was cold. "I am," he said. "And what I am is not your tool." Voldemort's face twisted. He raised his wand and shouted. The shelves exploded. Not all of them, just the aisle near Harry. Glass shattered. Orbs crashed and broke. Mist poured out in a screaming rush of prophecy voices. Hermione screamed and shoved Harry down. Ron yelled and tried to cover his head. Harry felt words slam into his mind like stones. A child crying, a man begging, a woman whispering. It was always going to happen. Harry's vision swam. Dumbledore cast a powerful spell that pushed the prophecy mist back, forcing it into a swirling barrier. But Voldemort was already moving. He lunged toward the shelf with the orb labeled Harry Potter and Lucifer. He wasn't going to fight Lucifer. He was going to steal the story. Lucifer moved faster. He appeared in front of the shelf, and Voldemort slammed into an invisible wall like he had hit solid stone. Voldemort hissed in fury. Lucifer stared at him. "No," Lucifer said. Voldemort's eyes burned. "You cannot protect him forever," Voldemort snarled. Lucifer's voice was steady. "I'm not protecting him forever," Lucifer said. "I'm protecting his choice." Harry didn't understand fully, but something in his chest loosened anyway. Dumbledore's voice rose. "Now!" he shouted. A wave of light filled the room. It blasted Death Eaters backward, disarmed them, slammed them into shelves. Hermione stunned one. Ron, shaking, managed a disarming spell that actually worked, and his eyes went wide like he couldn't believe it. Voldemort snarled and turned toward Dumbledore, rage sharpening into focus. "You!" he hissed. Dumbledore's face was calm and terrible. "Me," he agreed. Their wands flashed. The room shook. Lucifer didn't join the duel directly. He watched it like he was measuring it. Dumbledore and Voldemort were powerful, more powerful than most would ever understand. Their spells were clean and fast. Their control was tight. But even there, Duel was still inside the rules of magic. Lucifer was standing outside those rules, deciding how close he was willing to step. Voldemort, fighting Dumbledore with one hand, used the other to flick a spell toward the prophecy shelves again. Dumbledore blocked, but one shelf cracked. The orb labeled Harry Potter and Lucifer slid forward. Harry's breath stopped. The orb tipped. Hermione shouted, "Harry!" Ron lunged. Too late. The orb fell. Harry reached out with both hands. Lucifer's hand shot out first. He caught the orb in midair without even looking at it. The glass did not shatter. The mist inside swirled like a trapped storm. Lucifer held it carefully, like it was fragile. Harry stared up at him, chest heaving. "Give it to me," Harry gasped. Lucifer looked down at him. For a long moment, he didn't move. Harry felt fear rise again, sharp and hot. "Don't you dare," Harry whispered. Lucifer's eyes softened just slightly. He held the orb out. Harry grabbed it, with both hands, shaking. The orb felt cold. Not Dementor cold. More like the cold of deep water. Lucifer leaned in and said quietly, so only Harry could hear, "Whatever it says, it cannot force you. Remember that." Harry swallowed hard and nodded. A scream echoed. One of the Death Eaters, desperate, fired a wild curse that struck a shelf deep in the hall. Dozens of orbs shattered at once. The prophecy mist surged like a storm breaking loose. It flooded the room. Voices screamed warnings. Voices cried names. The air became thick with panic. Hermione covered her ears, face twisted in pain. Ron stumbled into a shelf, eyes rolling. Harry felt the prophecy words clawing at his mind. Then, Lucifer raised both hands. The mist slammed to a stop, every swirling line of smoke froze in place, hanging like a trapped sea of ghosts. Lucifer's face was tight with focus. For the first time, Harry could see effort. Not because Lucifer was weak, because he was holding back something huge. Lucifer spoke through clenched calm. "Dumbledore," he said, "get them out." Dumbledore didn't argue. He grabbed Ron by the collar with one hand and pulled him toward the exit. Hermione grabbed Harry's sleeve and dragged him too. Harry clutched the orb against his chest as they stumbled through the door. Behind them, Voldemort's laugh echoed once, sharp and cold. Then Dumbledore slammed the door shut. The hallway outside was dark and silent. Harry's legs shook so hard he almost fell. Hermione leaned against the wall, breathing like she had run miles. Ron slid down to the floor and whispered, "I'm going to be sick." Dumbledore stood in front of the closed door, wand raised, face set. From inside there was a deep hum. Then there was silence. Then the door opened. Lucifer stepped out. He looked calm again. Too calm. But his eyes were darker now, like he had seen something he didn't like. Dumbledore studied him. "Are you harmed?" Dumbledore asked. Lucifer shook his head. "No," he said. Hermione whispered, "What did you do?" And her voice sounded scared. Lucifer looked at her. "I stopped a storm," he said simply. "Your department builds storms and calls them knowledge." Ron groaned from the floor. "Can we never come here again?" he begged. Lucifer glanced down at Ron. "Agreed," he said. Dumbledore's voice was firm. "We leave now," he said, "before the ministry wakes fully." Lucifer nodded, but Harry couldn't move. He stared down at the orb in his hands. It was still cold, still swirling. His name and Lucifer's name were still on the label. Harry's voice came out small. "Why is his name on it?" he asked. Lucifer's gaze flicked to the orb. For a moment he looked angry. Not explosive anger, controlled anger. The kind that could cut a wall clean in half if it ever slipped. "Because your world is arrogant," Lucifer said. "It thinks it can write everyone into its story." Harry's throat tightened. can it?" he whispered. Lucifer looked at Harry. His voice softened, just a fraction. "Only if you let it," he said. Dumbledore stepped closer, eyes kind, but sharp. "Harry," he said gently, "we will examine that safely later." Harry nodded, but his hands tightened around the orb anyway. Hermione's voice was a whisper. "We need to get out," she said. "Now." They moved back toward the lift. As they walked, Harry felt something behind them in the dark hallway. Not footsteps, not a person. A feeling, like the place itself had watched Lucifer touch its rules, and it didn't like it. Lucifer paused for half a second and looked over his shoulder. His eyes narrowed. Then he kept walking. He did not look worried, but Harry realized, with a cold twist in his stomach, that Lucifer wasn't the only one who had become interested tonight. The Department of Mysteries had felt him, and something deeper, something behind the doors and shelves, had felt him too. When the lift doors closed, Harry looked down at the orb again. It pulsed faintly in his hands like a quiet heartbeat, and in his mind, he heard Voldemort's smooth voice from the prophecy room. "Bring him." Harry swallowed. He didn't know what the prophecy would say, but he knew one thing. This was not just Harry's war anymore. 2 weeks passed, but Hogwarts still felt like it was holding its breath. The castle was the same on the outside. Towers, stone, snow on the roof, the lake turning dark at night. But inside, everything felt tighter, like invisible ropes had been pulled and tied. Umbridge's rules spread across walls like ivy. Harry saw them everywhere. No gatherings over 3 students, no unapproved clubs, no unusual visitors in restricted areas. Report any strange behavior to the High Inquisitor. The last line always had a little heart drawn at the end, like the rule was a gift. Harry hated it. He also hated how people looked at him now. Some students stared like he was dangerous. Others stared like he was a hero. Most just looked tired. And then there was Lucifer. Lucifer didn't hide. He didn't sneak around. He didn't blend in. He simply existed in the castle like a quiet storm that chose not to rain. Some days, he sat in the Great Hall during meals and drank tea, calm as ever. Some nights, he played piano in the music room, soft notes moving through stone like a secret. Students still tried to approach him. He always refused. Not with anger. Not with threats. Just a calm, simple no. And sometimes, if they begged, he added, especially then. That became a joke around school. A nervous joke, but still a joke. Someone even wrote it on the blackboard in a classroom. Umbridge tried to scrub it off. It came back the next day. Harry kept dreaming about the orb. He had handed it to Dumbledore after the ministry night. His hands had been shaking when he did it. Part of him wanted to hide it under his mattress like it was a cursed diary. But he remembered Lucifer's words. Whatever it says, it cannot force you. Harry wanted to believe that. Dumbledore locked the orb away in his office. He didn't destroy it. He didn't read it aloud. He treated it like a loaded wand. Hermione tried to research it, of course. She found almost nothing helpful. Hogwarts' book said prophecies were delicate. The ministry book said prophecies were confidential. Neither explained why Lucifer's name had been on one. Harry asked Dumbledore about it once. Dumbledore looked tired when he answered. "Some prophecies are not made," Dumbledore said softly. "Some are caught. Like a net catching fish it did not mean to catch." Harry swallowed. "So it could be wrong," he said. "It could be incomplete," Dumbledore said, "or true in a way you do not expect." Harry hated that answer, but he understood why Dumbledore couldn't give him more. Prophecy had a way of making people act like they had no choice, and Harry was sick of that. So he did what he could control. He practiced. He trained with the DA in secret, Even with Umbridge hunting them, he learned shields until his arms shook. He learned to keep his fear from taking his wand away. Every time he raised his wand, he told himself something simple. I choose this, not prophecy, not Voldemort, not adults. Him. Snape watched Lucifer the way you watch a blade left on the edge of a table. It didn't matter that Lucifer had saved students from Dementors. It didn't matter that Lucifer had refused deals. Snape did not trust help that could turn into harm without warning. He had seen what Lucifer did in the Department of Mysteries. He had seen killing curses freeze in the air. Snape did not like being reminded that there were kinds of power that made wands feel like toys. So he planned anyway. He brewed potions that strengthened the mind. He reinforced wards around the Slytherin dorms. He kept notes on Lucifer's habits. Lucifer played piano at night. Lucifer walked the corridors like he was listening for hidden doors. Lucifer avoided the rooms Hogwarts avoided letting him enter, as if the castle and Lucifer had reached a quiet agreement. And then one night, Snape found Lucifer standing outside the room of requirement. The blank wall did not open. Lucifer didn't touch it. He just looked at it, calm and thoughtful. Snape's voice cut through the quiet. Trying to break into children's hiding places? He asked. Lucifer turned his head slowly. No, he said. I'm waiting. Snape's eyes narrowed. Waiting for what? Lucifer's mouth twitched. For it to decide, Lucifer said. It knows what people want. It refuses me. That's interesting. Snape stepped closer. You enjoy being refused, he said coldly. Lucifer's eyes flicked over him. Sometimes, he said. It proves something is alive. Snape's jaw tightened. And what does the castle prove? He demanded. Lucifer looked at the wall again. It proves that your world has rules, deeper than your ministry, Lucifer said, and deeper than your Dark Lord. Snape's voice was sharp. Don't speak of him like you understand, he hissed. Lucifer looked back at Snape. I understand obsession, Lucifer said. I understand fear pretending to be ambition. Snape's wand hand tensed. And you? He asked. What do you pretend to be? Lucifer's smile faded. I don't pretend, he said. That's why people hate me. Snape held his stare, trying to find a crack. Lucifer didn't blink. Finally, Lucifer said, almost casually, He will come again. Snape's breath slowed. Voldemort, Snape said. Lucifer nodded once. Yes, he said. Not here. Not like last time. He'll come where he thinks you can't stop him. Snape's voice went low. And how would you know? He demanded. Lucifer's eyes turned distant, listening. Because he is planning it very loudly, Lucifer said. Snape's stomach tightened with a feeling he hated. Lucifer wasn't guessing. He was hearing something. Snape forced his voice to stay cold. If you are so certain, tell Dumbledore, he snapped. Lucifer smiled faintly. I already did, he said. Snape's eyes narrowed further. And what will you do? He asked. Lucifer's voice stayed calm. What I always do, he said. I will refuse to be used. Then he turned away and walked down the corridor, leaving Snape alone with the blank wall and the feeling that the next strike was coming soon. Dumbledore did not sleep much. He sat in his office late at night, staring at the locked cabinet where the prophecy orb rested. Fawkes watched him, silent and bright-eyed. Dumbledore had fought Voldemort many times in different ways, not always with spells, often with patience, with sacrifice, with hidden choices. But Lucifer was different. Lucifer was not part of Dumbledore's plans. Lucifer didn't belong to wizard rules, and still, Lucifer had protected children. That mattered. Dumbledore heard a soft knock at the door. Come in, he said. The door opened. Lucifer stepped inside without hurry. Dumbledore's eyes flicked to the cabinet for half a second. Lucifer noticed, of course. Lucifer smiled. "You've locked it up," he said. Dumbledore's voice was gentle. "Yes," he said, "because people break what they fear." Lucifer's smile thinned. "And you fear what it might say," Lucifer said. Dumbledore didn't deny it. "I fear what others might do with it," he corrected. Lucifer walked closer, stopping near the desk. "You are trying to keep choice alive," he said quietly. Dumbledore nodded once. "Yes," he said. "And you keep speaking of choice as if it is holy." Lucifer's eyes sharpened. "It is," he said. Dumbledore leaned forward slightly. "Then help me," he said. Lucifer's smile returned, faint and mocking. "You're asking politely," Lucifer said. "That's new." Dumbledore ignored the tease. "The Ministry is tightening its grip," he said. "Umbridge is harming children slowly and calling it order." Lucifer's gaze turned cold. "She is a bully," he said. "Yes," Dumbledore said. "And Voldemort is moving. He wants chaos. He wants fear." Lucifer nodded. "He wants control," Lucifer said. Dumbledore's voice was steady. "I want you to promise something," he said. Lucifer's eyebrows lifted. "A promise," he said. "From me." Dumbledore met his eyes. "No deals," Dumbledore said. "No games with children. No pushing them into your lessons to prove a point." Lucifer stared for a long moment. Then he nodded once. "Fine," he said. "You want it plain? I will not bargain with them. I will not manipulate them. I will not use them." Dumbledore's shoulders loosened a fraction. "Thank you," he said. Lucifer's smile was sharp. "Don't thank me yet," he said, "because I'm going to do something you won't like." Dumbledore's eyes narrowed. "What?" he asked. Lucifer glanced toward the cabinet. "I want to read it," Lucifer said. Dumbledore went still. "No," he said at once. Lucifer didn't flinch. "Of course you say no," he said. "You think knowing will make it real." Dumbledore's voice stayed firm. "Knowing can make people act," he said. "And acting can turn a warning into a cage." Lucifer's gaze moved back to Dumbledore. "Then don't read it," Lucifer said. "Let Harry decide." Dumbledore's throat tightened. "He's 15, he said. Lucifer's eyes were calm and hard. "And your world has been using him like a weapon since he was a baby," Lucifer said. "Don't pretend age makes the cage kinder." Dumbledore looked away for one breath. Lucifer's voice softened just slightly. "You want to protect him?" Lucifer said. "So do I." Dumbledore looked back. "Then how?" he asked. Lucifer's answer was simple. "Give him the truth," Lucifer said, "and let him refuse it if he wants." Dumbledore's fingers tightened on the desk edge. He didn't like it. But he also knew Dumbledore's way. Secrets, half-truths, delays had hurt Harry before. Dumbledore nodded once, very slowly. "Tomorrow," he said. "In the morning, under protections. With me present." Lucifer smiled faintly. "Good," he said. "Now you're choosing instead of hiding." Dumbledore studied Lucifer. "And what do you want from this?" he asked. Lucifer's smile faded. "I want to know why your world tried to write me into a child's war," he said quietly. "That is all." Dumbledore held his gaze. "And if it does?" Dumbledore asked. Lucifer's eyes turned distant for half a second. "Then I will refuse the story," Lucifer said, "even if it screams." The next morning, Harry stood in Dumbledore's office, with Hermione and Ron beside him. He felt like he was waiting for an exam he hadn't studied for. Lucifer stood near the window, hands behind his back, looking out at the snow. He looked calm, too calm. Dumbledore opened the cabinet. He lifted the prophecy orb like it was a fragile bomb. Harry's chest tightened. Dumbledore placed it on the desk. "You may listen," Dumbledore said softly, "or you may leave. I will not stop you." Harry looked at Hermione. Hermione's face was pale, but she nodded once. "It's your choice," she whispered. Ron swallowed hard. "If it says something stupid, we ignore it," he muttered. "That's my plan." Harry almost laughed. Almost. Harry looked at Lucifer. "You said it can't force me," Harry said. Lucifer turned his head. "It can't," Lucifer said. Harry's hand shook as he reached for the orb. The glass felt cold. The mist inside swirled, restless. Harry lifted it. And then the voice came. It wasn't loud. It wasn't shouted. It spoke like a distant bell, clear and flat. "When the serpent fears the light bringer, the child with the scar must choose. The devil may open doors, but he cannot walk the path for him. If the boy surrenders his choice, the world becomes a cage." The mist faded back into silence. Harry's breath came fast. His throat felt tight. Hermione's eyes were wet. Ron stared like he had been slapped. Dumbledore's face had gone very still. Lucifer's expression did not change, but his eyes were sharp, like he was chewing on each line. Harry set the orb down slowly. It didn't say he would win. It didn't say he would die. It didn't say Lucifer would save him. It said one thing, over and over, in different ways. "Choose." Harry looked at Dumbledore. "So it's still on me," Harry said quietly. Dumbledore's voice was gentle. "Yes," he said. "But it always was." Harry's eyes flicked to Lucifer. "And it says you can't." Harry swallowed. "You can't do it for me." Lucifer's mouth twitched. "Correct," he said. Ron blurted, "Well, that's good, because you're terrifying." Lucifer glanced at Ron. "Thank you," he said calmly. Ron groaned. That wasn't a compliment. Hermione wiped her eyes quickly. "Harry," she whispered, "it means Voldemort will try to make you give up. He'll try to make you stop choosing." Harry nodded slowly. His fear didn't vanish, but it changed shape. It became something he could hold, like a wand. Dumbledore closed the cabinet again and looked at Lucifer. "Now you know what it says," Dumbledore said quietly. "Will you accept it?" Lucifer's smile returned, thin and sharp. "No," he said simply. Dumbledore blinked. "No?" he asked. Lucifer nodded. "I refuse to be prophecy's actor," he said. "I will do what I choose. Not what your world wrote." Dumbledore's eyes softened slightly. "And what will you choose?" he asked. Lucifer looked at Harry. His voice was quiet, but clear. "I choose to guard choice," Lucifer said. "That's all. That's enough." That night, Voldemort came to Hogwarts without stepping foot inside it. He came through minds. Harry woke with his scar burning like fire. He sat upright, gasping, heart pounding. The dorm was dark. Ron muttered in his sleep. Seamus snored softly. Harry's vision blurred. And then the room wasn't the room. He stood in a wide black space with no walls and no sky. A cold wind moved even though there was nothing for wind to move through. Voldemort stood a few steps away, pale face calm, red eyes bright. Harry's body locked with fear. Voldemort smiled. "Hello, Harry," he said softly. Harry tried to raise his wand. It wasn't there. "It won't help you here," Voldemort murmured. "This is inside you." Harry's throat tightened. "Get out," he whispered. Voldemort's smile widened. "I will," he said. "But not before I offer you something." Harry swallowed. "I don't want anything," he snapped. Voldemort's eyes gleamed. "You do," he said. "You want it all to stop. You want the fear to stop. You want the dead to return. You want to stop being the boy everyone points at." Harry's hands shook. Voldemort's words hit because they weren't fully lies. Voldemort leaned closer. "Bring Lucifer to me," Voldemort whispered, "and I will end it." Harry's scar burned hotter. "No," he hissed. Voldemort smiled, patient. "You don't even have to fight," he said. "Just stop choosing. Stop resisting. Let the world's story take you." Harry felt sick. He could almost feel the pull, the urge to let go, just to make the pain stop. Then a new presence entered the black space. It didn't crash in. It didn't roar. It arrived like a door opening quietly behind Harry. Lucifer stepped into the darkness as if he had walked in from a well-lit hallway. Voldemort's smile twitched. "Ah," he said, softly. "There you are." Harry stared. "How?" he gasped. Lucifer didn't look at Harry yet. His eyes stayed on Voldemort. "You're trespassing," Lucifer said calmly. Voldemort's voice was smooth. "We are in the boy's mind," Voldemort said. "He belongs to me?" Lucifer's smile vanished. "No," Lucifer said softly. "He does not." Voldemort's eyes narrowed. "Still playing protector?" he asked. Lucifer's voice stayed even. "I'm playing nothing," he said. "I am refusing you." Voldemort lifted his chin. "Then take my offer," he said to Lucifer. "Help me defeat death, break prophecy, break the old rules. You want freedom? I will build it." Lucifer stared at him like he was watching a child brag with a stolen crown. "You don't want freedom," Lucifer said. "You want control because you're terrified." Voldemort's face tightened. "Careful," he whispered. Lucifer stepped closer. "You split your soul because you can't accept being human," Lucifer said, voice calm and sharp. "You call it greatness. It's fear." Voldemort's eyes burned. "You think you know fear," he hissed. Lucifer's expression didn't change. "Yes," he said. "I do." Voldemort's smile returned, thin and cruel. "Then you know what I can do to the boy," he whispered. Harry felt the black space tighten like a fist. Voldemort lifted a hand, and Harry's scar flared with pain so sharp, Harry cried out and fell to his knees. Lucifer's head turned slightly toward Harry, and the air around them went still. "Enough," Lucifer said. Voldemort's laugh was soft. "Make me," he whispered. Lucifer looked back at Voldemort. "Gladly," Lucifer said. He didn't strike Voldemort with a spell. He simply spoke. "Leave," Lucifer said. The word hit like a rule snapping into place. The black space shook. Voldemort's shape flickered, as if his grip on Harry's mind had been pulled loose. Voldemort's eyes flashed with rage. "You cannot command me," he hissed. Lucifer's voice stayed calm. "I'm not commanding you," Lucifer said. "I'm denying you." Voldemort shoved forward, trying to force his presence back in, trying to crush Harry's mind with sheer will. Lucifer lifted one hand, palm outward. It looked like nothing, but Voldemort stopped as if he had slammed into glass. Voldemort snarled. "What are you?" he demanded. Lucifer's smile returned, cold. "A door you can't open," Lucifer said. Voldemort's face twisted. Then Voldemort did what he always did when power failed. He tried to use words. "You care about children," Voldemort whispered, forcing calm back into his voice. "So do I, in my own way. Children are the future. With me, they will never fear death again. They will never be weak." Lucifer's eyes narrowed. "They will never be free," Lucifer said. Voldemort leaned closer, voice silk. "And you," he whispered. "Now you were cast out, blamed, named as evil. Join me, and the world will finally admit you were right." For a moment, the black space held its breath. Harry looked up, shaking, eyes wet with pain. He watched Lucifer's face, waiting for anger, for temptation, for anything. Lucifer stared at Voldemort and said, very quietly, I left my prison." Voldemort blinked. Lucifer's voice stayed calm, but it cut deep. "You can't imagine leaving yours," Lucifer said. Voldemort's calm broke. "Lies!" he hissed. Lucifer didn't shout. He didn't attack. He simply stepped closer until he was inches from Voldemort and said, "Get out!" Voldemort's shape flickered again. Then it tore away like smoke ripped by a strong wind. The black space vanished. Harry slammed back into his bed, gasping, sweat soaking his shirt. His scar still burned, but the pain was already fading. The dorm room was dark again. Harry's hands shook as he sat up. In the corner of the room, sitting casually on the edge of a trunk like he belonged there, Lucifer watched him. Harry's breath caught. He stammered. Lucifer's voice was quiet. "I heard him pushing," Lucifer said. "So I arrived." Harry swallowed hard. "He was in my head," Harry whispered. Lucifer nodded. "Yes," he said. "He will try again." Harry's voice shook. "Then stop him," Harry said, desperate. Lucifer's eyes softened a fraction. "I can stop him from taking you," Lucifer said. "I cannot live your life for you." Harry clenched his fists. "I know," he whispered. Lucifer leaned back slightly. "Good," he said. "Keep knowing." Harry stared at him. "Why are you helping me?" he asked, voice raw. Lucifer paused. Then, for once, his answer wasn't teasing. "Because you keep choosing," Lucifer said quietly. "Even when it hurts." Harry swallowed hard. Lucifer stood up. "Get some sleep," Lucifer said. "Your world will try to steal your morning next." Then Lucifer walked to the door. Before he left, he added almost lightly, "Also, tell your friend Ron his snoring is a crime." And then he was gone. Harry almost laughed through his fear. Almost. By the end of the month, Hogwarts had a new kind of routine. Not a peaceful routine, a war routine. Umbridge kept tightening rules, but students kept finding cracks. The DA kept training. The Order kept guarding from shadows. Snape kept playing his dangerous double game. And Lucifer became something Hogwarts had never had before. A silent line no one could cross without being seen. He didn't patrol like an Auror. He didn't stand on towers like a guard. He simply existed in the right places at the right times. When an Auror came to inspect a hallway near the dorms late at night, Lucifer appeared behind him and asked softly, "Why are you here?" The Auror tried to lie. His mouth wouldn't. He confessed he had been ordered to look for illegal gatherings and dangerous materials. He looked horrified as he spoke the truth out loud. Lucifer let him go, but the Auror left shaking, and he didn't come back. When Umbridge tried to corner a trembling first year for suspicious behavior, Lucifer sat in a nearby chair, sipping tea, and said nothing at all. Umbridge's voice got thinner and thinner until it finally snapped. She walked away, furious, because she couldn't punish someone while feeling watched. Dumbledore didn't announce Lucifer as a protector. He didn't name him a teacher. He didn't turn him into a symbol, because symbols became targets. But the students started calling Lucifer the No, not to his face, just as a joke that carried relief inside it. "The No is near," Ron whispered once when he saw Umbridge coming. Hermione elbowed him, but she smiled for half a second. Harry didn't know what to call Lucifer. He just knew that when the pressure came, Lucifer didn't ask for thanks. He didn't ask for loyalty. He didn't ask for a deal. He just refused the wrong people. Over and over. And that changed things. Not enough to end the war, but enough to make the cage creak. The last night of term before the next round of ministry inspections, Harry couldn't sleep. He walked quietly through corridors, cloak pulled tight around him, trying not to get caught. He found the music room door open. Soft piano notes drifted out. Harry stepped inside. Lucifer sat at the piano, hands moving slowly, playing something simple. Not sad, not happy, just steady. Harry stayed near the doorway. Lucifer didn't stop playing. "You can come in," he said. Harry stepped closer and sat on a chair near the wall. For a few moments, he just listened. When Lucifer finished the line of music, he let his hands rest on the keys. The room went quiet. Harry swallowed. "I'm still scared," Harry admitted. Lucifer nodded once. "Good," he said. "Fear keeps you awake." Harry frowned. "That's not comforting," he muttered. Lucifer's mouth twitched. "It isn't meant to be," he said. Harry hesitated. "The prophecy," he said quietly. "It said you can open doors, but you can't walk the path for me." Lucifer's eyes flicked toward him. "Yes," he said. Harry's voice was small. "So you're staying," Harry said, "but not taking over." Lucifer looked at him for a long moment. Then he nodded. "Correct," he said. "I will not become your hero. That would be another cage." Harry's throat tightened. "Then what are you?" he asked. Lucifer leaned back on the bench and looked at the ceiling as if it was an easy question. "I'm a reminder," Lucifer said calmly, "that no one owns you. Not prophecy. Not Voldemort. Not your ministry. Not even your headmaster, no matter how kind he is." Harry swallowed. "Even you?" he asked. Lucifer's eyes returned to Harry. His voice was soft, but firm. "Especially me," he said. Harry let out a shaky breath. For the first time in a long time, the weight on his chest didn't vanish, but it shifted. It felt less like a chain, more like something he could carry. Lucifer turned back to the piano. "Go sleep," Lucifer said. Harry stood up slowly. "Thank you," he said, before he could stop himself. Lucifer didn't look back. "Don't thank me," Lucifer said. "Choose well." Harry left the room, heart still racing, but steadier than before. In the headmaster's office the next morning, Dumbledore watched the grounds through the window. Snow fell quietly. Owls cut through the air. The castle looked peaceful from above, like it was still just a school. McGonagall stood beside him, arms folded tight. "He's changing things," she said. Not sure if she meant it as praise or warning. Dumbledore nodded. "Yes," he said softly. Snape stood near the wall, face unreadable. "He will get bored," Snape said. "And boredom makes him dangerous." Dumbledore's eyes stayed on the falling snow. "Perhaps," he said. McGonagall's voice tightened. "And the ministry?" she asked. Dumbledore's mouth thinned. "They will keep trying," he said. "They cannot cage him. So they will try to cage us around him." Snape's eyes narrowed. "Then this becomes worse," he said. Dumbledore turned away from the window and looked at both of them. "Or," he said quietly, "it becomes clearer." McGonagall blinked. "Clearer," she repeated. Dumbledore nodded. "People show their true faces when they cannot control the story," he said. Snape's gaze flicked, sharp. "And whose face do you think we are seeing?" he asked. Dumbledore's eyes softened just a little. "All of them," he said, "including ours." On the desk, the prophecy orb sat locked away again, silent. Dumbledore had not let it become a cage. Not yet. And if he was wise, he never would. A week later, Voldemort stood in the dark again, fingers stroking Nagini's scales. A Death Eater knelt before him, voice shaking. "He stopped you," the Death Eater whispered, in the boy's mind. Voldemort's eyes burned. "Yes," he said softly. The Death Eater swallowed. "Should we change plans, my lord?" he asked. Voldemort's smile returned, thin and cold. "We already have," he said. He looked into the darkness like he could see Hogwarts through stone and miles. Lucifer had refused his offer. Fine. Voldemort did not need Lucifer's loyalty. He needed Lucifer's absence. He needed Harry to choose wrong. And Voldemort knew something now. He couldn't beat Lucifer with force, so he would do what he always did. He would aim at the heart. He would build a moment where Harry's pain was so large that letting go felt like relief. Voldemort's voice was a whisper. "Let the boy suffer," he said calmly. "Not enough to kill him. Enough to make him stop choosing." Nagini's tongue flicked. Voldemort smiled. The war continued. Just different now. Because somewhere in Hogwarts, a door had opened once, and the world would never fully close again.